Hey everyone, welcome to the monthly Astro forecast for April 2026. Thank you guys all so much for being a part of this beautiful Beyond Mystic platform. And if you're new here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe here at the Jean-Claude Beyond Mystic channel on YouTube. And of course, also here on Rumble. We've got so many cool shows, so make sure you do not miss a single beat. And if you guys need a little bit more guidance here in these interesting times, then you can definitely book in a session, a personal session, a birth chart, a 1 year ahead reading, or a couples reading. And you can book that in on the Beyond Mystic consultation page, and you can use Beyond Mystic to get 10% off. So let me know where you guys are watching this from. This is going to be a pretty interesting month ahead. And of course, it is springtime, and we've got some major headlines for the month of April. So let me know what you are up to on this beautiful Sunday here today and what your plans are for the next part of this day. So, hey, Stain from Belgium. So happy you're here with us as well. So, let's start with the major headlines because the most important thing for April is that actually all the planets are direct. And that is actually good news because that means that we are no retrogrades until the 4th of May. So it's full force ahead. We are in Aries season, and that is always quite feisty and quite like we are really entering a very big period of acceleration because on the end of the month, on the 25th of April, Uranus will shift over into the sign of Gemini. So we've got a lot to talk about today. And good morning, Anna Banana. I really like your name. And hi, John. Yes, it was about time that all the planets went direct. And also on the 9th of April, that is a pretty significant day because then Mercury will come out of its post shadow phase. So that is also a very welcoming change that we will all really notice in our brains and in our communication. And we can definitely feel like things are finally moving forward because this is really the new year that just got kicked off on the 20th of March. We just saw the spring equinox for the northern hemisphere, and that just like kicks off a whole new astrological year. And on the 17th of April, we are also seeing the first new moon in the sign of Aries. So it's the first new moon of the astrological new year. So finally, things are moving, things are really accelerating. And then as soon as Uranus moves over into Gemini, then things will go like full force ahead even more. So Uranus, of course, will be at 29 degrees from the 6th of April until the end of April. And that is really going to provide some shocks to the system, not only on the world stage, but also within our personal lives. So, yeah, buckle up. We are building towards this very big Aries stellium that we're also about to see here in April. And the next few weeks are going to get a little bit more intense. There's a necessary transition that we're all going through right now. So do not fear it. Aries, I've been saying a lot of the times that Aries is fearless, but maybe I should state it a little bit different. It's not that Aries doesn't like bump into any fear, but when it does that, it just like goes on anyway. It just like it grabs the fear and it just like uses it as like a kind of fuel to just like keep going. And that is something that we now are all going to partake in the month of April. We have so many planets in the cardinal fire sign of Aries, so of course we can see some issues with big fires. That is definitely also in the cards for this month, because cardinal, yeah, it is the first fire sign. So it's like the first spark that sets a lot of things on fire. So definitely fire is a very big theme for the upcoming weeks, and that is going to get even a little bit more prominent as soon as Mars, of course the planet that belongs to Aries, also fully ingresses into the sign of Aries, so in its home sign by the 9th of April. That is going to be a very important day. So yeah, John, buckle up, Buttercup, exactly. That is going to be necessary here. But still, when time moves fast, and when everything accelerates, we slow down and try to not react too impulsively this month. Such a big pile up of planets in the first sign of the zodiac. People are really going to be a little bit more feisty than we are used to. So, hi, Crutch. And yes, the Ace of Wands. Something sparks, something blossoms. It is a big yes this month. So, yeah, the Ace of Wands is actually a very beautiful card for this month. And hello from Belgium. So, okay, cool. So many of you are here today. Let's dive into the month ahead. Of course, I've made like this beautiful spring slide, but do not be mistaken by it. The tone is definitely going to shift dramatically once Mars moves into its home sign of Aries on the night. So, of course, let's start here with the full moon in Libra. That is what we're going to see here on the 1st of April. So, no, that is not a joke. It is very, very real. A full moon in Libra, it is actually soft, it is very feminine, and it does represent a very big culmination because, of course, it's a full moon. And Libra, it rules over our relationships, and it's about balance and our loved ones, and it's also about our emotional truth. So, of course, the sun in Aries is opposing the moon in Libra. So, we are now getting in the tension between ourself and our identity, Aries, versus the other person, and our independence versus connection. So there are very big themes being highlighted here between like hyper independence and also codependency. And that needs to be balanced out now with the sign of Libra and the full moon that takes place here. So, of course, Libra, it wants peace. So hopefully we are going to see some kind of peace deals, negotiations. Libra, it is a very diplomatic sign, so it does represent very big changes in global diplomatic affairs. Think about, like, of course, a lot of law and legality is getting changed, the rules, all of that belongs to Libra. And this full moon actually triggers the chart of the US and the DOJ department massively. Because the US and the DOJ, they both have a sun in the sign of Cancer. For the US, that is located at 13 degrees. For the DOJ, it's located at 9 degrees. So this full moon in Libra actually squares that off. So we can definitely see some major headlines and major announcements from the leader, of course, from President Donald Trump, and also from the DOJ department. That is going to be quite massive. And if you want to know more about that, I've did a whole full moon in Libra video on my Astrid channel, where I go a little bit more in depth about that. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely also check it out. But on a personal level, this is going to bring like major turning points in relationships. And because the moon is at 12 degrees, 12 degrees is a Pisces degree. So we're either getting a little bit more spiritually in tune with our partnerships and our relationships, or within marriage. There can be like more of a spiritual resonance that gets strengthened. But for others who their relationship is already a little bit on rocky ground, 12 degrees can also signify a relationship getting dissolved. Pisces likes to dissolve things. It likes to, make things disappear. So we can definitely expect some breakups happening during this full moon, as the ruler of this full moon in Libra is actually Venus, and she's here in the sign of Taurus, which is positive normally because Venus is at home in the sign of Taurus. She's very comfortable here. She's very lovey-dovey. She likes to cuddle and have good food and just enjoy the finer things in life. But yeah, there's always a but in astrology. Venus here, she's actually making a square with Pluto in Aquarius. The exact square will be a couple of days later on the 3rd and the 4th for Europe. And that means that there is going to be some more difficult dynamics being highlighted. Venus is squaring off with Pluto, the planet of intensity. It can bring up like hidden issues with like the 12 degrees here of Pisces, hidden unconscious issues in regards to Possessiveness, jealousy, power dynamics, a little bit of struggles. That is definitely in the cards here. And Venus will be at 5 degrees when she squares Pluto exact. And 5 degrees is a Leo degree. So that can get a little bit more dramatic, honestly. So be careful if you get triggered, not to completely burn bridges within relationships right now. But definitely, if you are in a toxic relationship, then this is like the perfect moon to set yourself free from that. And Venus square Pluto is definitely also going to help you. Now, on a global stage, Venus squaring Pluto, that is going to be like another hit to the markets, unfortunately, because 5 degrees, with that belonging to Leo, Leo rules over like casinos, gambling, speculation, the stock market. So yeah, when they square one another, that is like bad news for all these markets. Well, of course, I'm not a financial advisor, but it is in the astrology, unfortunately. So definitely something to be mindful about, not to speculate or take risky moves with money under this influence. I would strongly, not advise you to do that. So also, yeah, the key lesson here on a personal level is to really like honor yourself without losing your connection to others. But then on a global stage, this one is going to be pretty massive. Look at the EU. A lot of new votes, new laws, new things getting like approved. So the EU just decided to, they voted on a very big immigration deportation policy. They're also planning on making detention camps. So that was rather shocking to me to read, because right now we are in a Saturn sextile Pluto. So Saturn and Pluto were together at 22 degrees of Capricorn on January of 2020. So we know that back in the day, they really liked to build like certain camps and deportation centers, and then all of that just didn't pass the law. And well, now in the EU, they passed it. So I was actually a little bit like, my COVID PTSD immediately kicked off, and I was wondering, like, are these deportation centers or the specific camps that they are going to build, is that only going to be for migrants? I think that is something to really think about. Then we know what they want to do with those who do not obey. I think it's just something to be a little bit mindful for. But of course, we're also going to hear and see very big things being announced in the US, and new policies really like now being put into place and into motion. So, John says Trump revealed just this morning that lasers will be in place soon. Yeah, I was actually going to talk about that whenever I was like getting to Uranus, about to switch over to 29 degrees here on the 6th of April. That is definitely a very big signifier of that. And things are going to get a little bit more crazy in regards to all of the new technologies and also cryptocurrencies and also the financial system and banking and all of that. Everything that JC and Janine have been like learning you about for the past couple of years, all of that is really going to come to a head in the next couple of months, and especially in the next few weeks, with Uranus being at its final degree. So yeah, we know they have directed energy weapons. We know that they can like evaporate people. They also did that with Maduro when they captured him. So yeah, this is really Uranus at the end degrees. We're going to see some more surprises in regards to that for sure. So yeah, buckle up. Everything is coming to a head right now. And Uranus is about shock surprises and things that we do not expect, but still they're going to be in the cards for this month for sure. So yeah, on a global stage, a lot of diplomatic tensions, things being renegotiated. We're going to see so many big important shifts in alliances, new legal developments, a lot of like public discussions around fairness and justice, because that of course belongs to Libra. And there is a heightened attention here towards like equality and contracts being signed, and also partnerships between nations and like big corporations, and especially the big tech giants. That is going to be majorly in the month of April. And then the square with Venus and Pluto, a lot of financial instability, a lot of volatility in the market. And yeah, we're gonna hear such a big news around banking, wealth distribution, the technological influence on our money, cryptocurrencies. All of that is gonna be such a major theme. And on the 23rd of April, Venus will conjunct Uranus at 29 degrees, and that is going to be a very, very big shock to the financial system. So, of course, that is going to spark a lot of discussions around control, the influence, and also the power dynamics that are like underlying all of that. That is all going to intensify pretty massively over the next couple of weeks. So, if we now look at the transits for this month ahead, we're also going to see Mercury trine Jupiter here on the 2nd and the 3rd of April. That is actually rather positive news, because we have already seen two trines between Mercury and Jupiter. The first one was when Mercury was still direct, but Jupiter was retrograde. And then the second trine we saw with Mercury retrograde trining Jupiter retrograde, but now the third trine, they are both direct. And this is positive, and it's happening at 15 degrees. And 15 degrees is a Gemini degree, which rules over our news. This can actually be good news, and Gemini rules things double. So we can have multiple good news with this aspect. And I really think it's also very beneficial to heal family wounds, as it like trines Jupiter, which is in the sign of Cancer. So this is actually very, very positive here. Some news that we have been waiting on finally comes true, and we can feel like with that kind of news, it's like the final piece of the puzzle, and now we can move more forward with that information. Of course, it's also about like emotional intelligence, because Mercury is still in Pisces. So Mercury has been going retrograde for the past few weeks, and we've had so many new insights, so many unconscious processing that has happened. Even if you're not fully aware of it, it was a rather intense retrograde, and it just like restalled and rewired a lot of the unconscious processes. So now that it's back direct and almost out of shadow zone, this is so positive for also healing family wounds. We're going to have so much clarity through conversations and intuitive downloads, and it can really lead to a lot of emotional breakthroughs. So globally, this can then also have a very positive effect on good news, diplomatic progress, and also like a lot of breakthroughs, either within education or media or topics that are revolving like around emotional well-being. So I think that is going to be good to have some positive news here. On the 5th, we are then seeing the Sun in Aries squaring Jupiter in Cancer. Be careful of over-promising during this time, because first we have this full moon, focus on the other person, then we can have good news, bringing here up some power dynamics with the Venus square Pluto, and then with all of that, we can become overconfident or too over-promising to another person. So we need to be a little bit careful. When the Sun squares Jupiter, there is like an amplification of our confidence and our ambition, but it can also lead towards like excess and overextension. So, of course, the Sun, and of course, the Sun is in Aries. It is full force ahead without really thinking about the consequences. So do not take on too much. Do not overcommit. Do not act too much on your impulses. Yes, there's going to be enthusiasm, but there's also like a tendency to overestimate what's possible. The positive thing is that squares to Jupiter, they're never really that bad, because it is a benefic. But yeah, you might feel like driven, to pursue bigger things, but the key here is really going to be to pace yourself a little bit. And we're also going to see, of course, a lot of overconfidence in leaderships and definitely in world leaders, as the sun resembles that. The sign of Aries is, of course, also a leadership sign, and then it's going to square to Jupiter. So yeah, we're going to see some massive announcements where people can be thinking like, well, is this not a little bit too much? That is definitely a possibility. And the fact is also that it happens at the Cancer degree. So there can be big news regarding like policies around our home and family, and also children and females. Something to keep our eyes on for sure. Yeah. Yes, overestimate and speculation, it is something that we need to be very, very careful for, not to become too confident. That is definitely going to help you steer clear from the lesser manifestations of this aspect. Then, actually, on the 6th, it is actually not here on the slides, but on the 6th of April, we can see Uranus moving at 29 degrees. That is going to be big, you guys. That means from the 6th until the 25th, Uranus will be at an anaretic critical degree. Now, Uranus, it deals with, of course, everything alternative. It is also the planet of the liberator, but it liberates through like uncomfortability, and it shakes things up. Things that are already on rocky grounds are gonna get like shaken up so bad that it's just like gonna crumble. And of course, Uranus, it can also deal with real physical manifestations. Think about the Ring of Fire, think about earthquakes, think about like things that are also flying through the sky, bombs, supersonic missiles, all of that also belongs to Uranus. And when it's at 29 critical degree, we can definitely have some more shakeups. Hopefully, we're not going to see too much of like severe earthquakes, but definitely it's in the sign of Taurus. So Taurus, it deals with law of relationships, but also with the banks. Taurus deals with our financial system. So Uranus has been proving to be of great instability for the past 8 years within all of our economy and banking systems. And Uranus has been trying to innovate that, because Uranus is about change. But when it's at 29 degrees, it caused such a deep, powerful, energetic resonance here on Earth that it can feel a little bit overwhelming. Like, look at the Schumann resonance and how that is behaving a little bit wildly and out of control. It's also having a very big implication on like solar flashes and the geomagnetic energy of Mother Earth. And of course, in Taurus, Taurus deals with our Earth. So we can definitely see some, tremblings in our Mother Earth. And like, people who have been living with their head in the sand, their head in the sand is going to start rumbling so hard that they're going to have no other choice than to like pop it out and see what's going on around them. Because what unites us all, unfortunately, or like most people, is when things really hit us all within our wallet. And that is definitely in the cards here very strongly over the next couple of weeks. So people who are a bit more unaware, they're not going to be able to like deny it anymore. Uranus deals with alternative banking systems and cryptocurrencies and everything online. So I do think if we are about to shift over to another financial system, that this can be the time. Also, Uranus deals with everything online, as I already said. But we can see some very big like cyber attacks, hacking, the banks getting hacked in some kind of way, power outages, but definitely very big topics and discussions around cybersecurity, having to identify yourself before accessing the internet. All of that can really become a very big theme. Uranus is also the planet of truth and awakening. So I think some people are going to get hacked and there's going to be major truth exposed. And we can already see that now with like the head of the FBI. I just read that he got hacked. His name is Kash Patel, if I remember correctly. So this is going to be a very big push to really getting out the uncomfortable truth. And people are going to have no other choice to really look at it. Also, whenever Uranus is at 29 degrees, what did we saw in the last previous cycles when it was at 29 degrees? It trines Jeffrey Epstein's sun exact, because he has a sun at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So that means that there is a very high possibility that we are going to see a new release of these Epstein files. Or something, or someone is going to get hacked, and there's going to be some kind of whistleblower that is going to release even more in those regards. That is a very, very big possibility here, you guys, especially in the month of April, nearing more nearly towards the end of the month. But unfortunately, Uranus, it also deals with shocks and surprises. And because it's in the sign of Taurus and Mother Earth, I think we are also going to see some very extreme weather, unfortunately. Also, if you look up what's happening in Nebraska, there are massive fires going on in Nebraska, and it's like the size of Rhode Island that is inflamed right now. So a lot of the food for the cows is actually being burned up in flames. We also saw, of course, the very big oil refinery in Texas being like in flames. Then we also saw the egg farm in Iowa. So yeah, there is definitely major chaos, upheaval, disruption, and that is all partly due to Uranus in Taurus as well at the last final degrees. Yeah, John, the money system worldwide is the business of taking your hard-earned assets and denying your ability to live free from material worry. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, something needs to change, but like it all always ties back to the Rothschild family, and yeah, something needs to change, man. And it is about decentralization as well, Uranus. So look at the new wallet that you now can install on Rumble. These are all very interesting things to look to. So yeah, don't be too dependent on the current fiat system, and like the petrodollar is also going to take such a massive hit here by the end of April. So yeah, massive shocks to the system, but it's all destined. So do not fear it. It is just something that we need to go through. And also a lot of people have been asking me about silver and gold, because yeah, it's been like massively crashing. In a very short period of time, it has been down, but Leo rules over gold, and Jupiter will enter Leo by the end of June, beginning of July. So I do see something like being better in the next couple of months. But of course, we are going to have eclipses in Leo as well. Then the South Node is going to enter Leo. So it's like just all a little bit unstable. Luckily, Jupiter has like an amplifying effect in the sign of Leo, which rules over everything that is yellow, and the sun, and our heart, and our confidence, and also our gold. So that does look better. Yeah, hey, I don't know, stargates of Mother Earth taking over by people again. Yes, let's hope so. And I think Uranus and Gemini will highlight a lot of truth in regards to that. Uranus is also like everything that's weird, that's unconventional, that's a little bit like outside of the box. It's also dealing with electromagnetic frequencies. All of that belongs to Uranus. And when it goes into Gemini, Gemini also rules over our brain, and also over the news and our technological devices and our cars and transportations, teleportation. So yes, this is going to be a very, very big team. And yeah, let's hope that these are going to be taking over by the good people again. I think that is definitely already an ongoing process right now. So yes, hi, 6 fairy lights. It's going to be a very, very busy month. Yes, for sure. It's going to be a very interesting month. And we are now going towards like a very big peak intensity. In May, things are going to start to calm down a little bit until like the beginning of July. Then things are going to start to pick up again, because then we are entering the next eclipse season. Like, can you believe how fast time goes? It was like yesterday that we were celebrating New Year, or like the turning over of the Gregorian calendar. And now we're already entering the month of April. So yeah, time goes really, really fast right now. And that is also due to Uranus at the end degrees. Whenever it's in the third decan of a sign, things become very globally and massive global implications of the energy of Uranus right now. And it's going to really shake up a lot of things. Yes, exactly, John. That is a very good comment. There's going to be something else taking the lead, and we're going to see a lot of currencies crash and other currencies really go up. So it will be very volatile. That is for sure. So, also Uranus, it is really here to like bring a lot of unexpected, like creative solutions, and it can bring a lot of sudden opportunities that we didn't even thought about. So it wants to change things up, and it is also correlates very strongly with technological advancements and a lot of like sudden shifts in our economic and also environmental systems. So yeah, we can expect a lot of unexpected developments. So guys, mark your calendar, because on the 9th of April, Mars will enter its home sign of Aries. And it will ingress at 0 degrees, of course. 0 degrees is the world point axis. Mars, it is determination, taking action. It's your drive, it's your energy. It is really also about conflict and war, unfortunately. And when it enters its home sign, it's gonna have a lot of weight that it will be added into the scale in regards to everything that is already going on right now. So I'm just saying you, conflict that is ongoing right now, it's gonna turn up a notch. That is for sure. The positive thing is for in our personal lives is that Venus ingresses actually tomorrow on the 30th of March in the sign of Taurus, its home sign, and then on the 9th of April, Mars will be in its home sign. So that means that the divine masculine and divine feminine will both be in their home signs. And is actually positive, can be very, very positive in our own personal lives. Yeah, you need to really look at your own chart where Mars and also Venus are currently traveling through which house. You can really get blessings of that. And on a personal level here with Mars and Aries, it is very raw and direct, and it's action oriented. So the pace of life, it is even going to accelerate more. And we're all going to feel a little bit more assertive, a bit more impatient. Like I always tell my mother, like, you forgot to install patience when you gave birth to me. And I think a lot of Aries can really correlate with that. But we're all going to become a little bit more driven to act upon our desires and to really take the initiative. But we are also going to need to be able to manage our anger and our impulsivity a little bit more. Conflicts are also going to be able to arise a little bit quicker if our energy is not like properly channeled. So, of course, it's going to increase the global tension, the competition. We're going to see a lot of aggressive actions, especially within politics and also within the military, of course. But at the same time, it can also drive a lot of like new leadership, innovation within that, and also like bold new beginnings within leadership. New, young, strong leaders that are going to have a lot of testosterone. It's going to be unreal, you guys. But also, just know that for the States, Mars ingresses into the fourth house, and the fourth house, it is about the land and the soil, and we are going to see some intensity within on US soil. That is also very strongly in the cards here, and it will conjunct Neptune here a couple of days later. But as the energy is building towards this conjunction, also remember that we just had the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries. And look what that brought, you guys. That happened on the 20th of February, and it is still into play, you guys. So Mars is going to reactivate that specific degree. It is the world point axis. That is of major importance, of course. And then the energy is building towards the 13th of April when Mars will conjunct Neptune at 2 degrees of Aries. And 2 degrees, it is a Taurus degree. Again, finances, relationships, global market, economy, all of that. And Neptune is about dissolving, and Mars is about conflict. So we're really gonna see even more manifestations of how this ongoing war is actually affecting our global economy, and Neptune can really dissolve because of the conflict that is happening here as well at 2 degrees, Taurus degree. So it can also be about our romance and our relationships, of course, again. But 13, like the 13th is gonna be important because drive Mars blends with the illusion of Neptune, and action gets like infused with disillusion. And there's gonna be people who are gonna feel courage, and then probably they're gonna start to like be confusing or doubting themselves. And Mars, it wants to act immediately and independently, but Neptune is gonna dissolve some clarity, and it's gonna blur a lot of boundaries. And definitely we can see something majorly happening at the US borders, as Mars is actually conjuncting the EC, which resembles the borders of the US. So this is going to be very important to watch what's what's going to happen there. But definitely, yeah, we're all going to feel like the urge to move forward, but it may feel like we're not fully understanding what we're moving towards. But it's definitely a very big spiritual awakening, you guys. And it can feel like a total disorientation and even suffering. But by that, people are going to wake up. And if you're able to tap into the beautiful energies and the more higher manifestation, then this can be giving you a lot of creative inspiration. So, are you going to be acting on your truth, or are you going to project? And that is going to be something that we need to keep our minds attuned towards. This can definitely be a day where we feel a little bit more low on energy, because Mars is our energy and Neptune can like dissolve that. It can be about like daydreaming, feeling more tired. You can feel a little bit like overwhelmed emotionally. And you're also going to see people becoming motivated, but then they're going to like misdirect their motivation. So, yeah, people are going to start to try to kick things off, but along the way they can like kind of lose themselves in the process, and they're going to like lose direction halfway through their movement. Some of us are going to feel super inspired, but are going to feel a little bit unable to ground our ideas into reality and into action. Definitely also, it's going to give increased sensitivity to the body. Mars deals with inflammation, energy fatigue, headaches, fevers, even. There can be higher reactions towards certain substances. Think about alcohol or certain medications. And a lot of people are going to feel a little bit frustrated without having like a clear sense why that happens. So slow down, double check, avoid impulsive decisions. And globally, this is gonna be a big one for like misinformation around war. That is gonna be very, very big here. And we're gonna see a lot of unclear actions from leaderships and also institutions. And we can also have some events that are gonna involve contamination of water, some kind of chemicals leaking into the soil for the US, some kind of like issues with pharmaceuticals, because that is also ruled over by Neptune. And Neptune also rules over our immune system. So, yeah, we need to all be taking a little bit more care of our immune system during this time. Can also be about like environmental issues causing inflammations. And with Uranus at 29 degrees, what have we learned? That they're spraying so much chemicals in the air. And this can be a day where this is getting highlighted, or more people are going to be, it's like our inflammation gets kicked up. And if it's like lingering, then this day we can feel more sensitive towards that as well. So a good day to also detox and not overdo yourself in any kind of way. So a little bit more positive here, and I'm going to quickly look at the chart, and also at the comments. All right, so On the 13th here as well, luckily we have somewhat of a more beautiful aspect that is going to balance things a little bit more out, definitely in our personal life. But we have Venus in Taurus in her home sign, sextiling Jupiter in Cancer. That is positive. Normally, I do not really implement the sextiles here too often because I feel sometimes the sextiles are getting a little bit overplayed. I tend to focus a little bit more on the harder aspects as that adds a lot more weight in the scale. But as we're going through a little bit more of an intense peak time here, Venus sextile Jupiter is really going to help us. The two benefics in a positive aspect towards one another, that can be very good news. And they create a flow of more ease and generosity and emotional fulfillment. So luckily, we have this aspect into play as well. This is also an energy about receiving. And we are in Aries season. Aries is like, okay, I do not need help from other people. I'm just gonna like do it on my own because if I do it, I mostly do it better and faster. Well, although I can relate to that, on the 13th of April, we might need to lean a little bit more in towards receiving. And that is then going to help you to like put some more equilibrium within the Aries fire that is happening right now. So allow pleasure, allow comfort, and also, yeah, if you need support in your life, ask it and accept it without resistance. It might be necessary, and it's okay if you need help. A lot of us are being so we raised with, yeah, being hyper independent. We might need to accept a little bit more help here, and that is totally okay. That is not weak. Asking for help and accepting help is actually strength, but we're not taught that in this specific way. So and of course, hey Shannon. Okay, so on a more personal level, this can also bring a lot of opportunities in love and in finance, and it's really going to help us for emotional well-being. Relationships can enjoy like a softer touch. They're going to feel a little bit more supportive and more aligned. So practice gratitude under this aspect. It can really get like amplified. And of course, Venus is money, Jupiter is amplification. So yeah, some of us are definitely going to have some good news in regards to our finances. Hopefully that is also gonna then come out or like play out on a worldly global level. Hopefully we're gonna have some kind of like more positive economic developments. For some countries that is definitely going to be the case, especially countries that are ruled over by Venus or Jupiter can really tap into this beautiful energy. So then next slide on the 14th. Here we have it. On the 14th, Mercury enters Aries. So, yeah. Communication is going to become a little bit more fast and direct and unfiltered and a little bit more blunt. And again, it will be at 0 degrees of Aries. So Mercury then is going to again reactivate the Saturn Neptune conjunction that we just had. So that is why April is such a big moment in peak intensity for 2026. But yeah, we're all going to be a little bit more direct and honest, and I think we can really benefit from that as long as it's in a polite kind of way. And sometimes Aries has a little bit more difficulties with doing that. So there's definitely a very big mental shift, Mercury, from like the intuitive and emotional soft Piscean realm into a way more sharp, reactive, and decisive realm of Aries. So yeah, a very big switch in a more confrontational communication style. The truth is going to express way more quickly. And you guys, Saturn is in Aries, like karma is getting like handed out so fast. So be careful with what you say, because what you're going to say during this time is going to have like immediate karmic consequences. Yeah, we're out of like the Piscean realm with Neptune and Saturn and all the planets in Pisces. That is now over. There you could like hide behind the veil, or spiritual bypassing was very popular. Well, that time is now like completely over. Welcome to Aries season. Welcome to like all the planets switching over into air and fire. No more hiding behind excuses, denial. Nope, that is over and done with. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how that is going to play out. But be careful what you say, and also you're going to notice that your mental speed is going to increase massively. Do not speak too impulsively. You're going to have a very big desire to say exactly what's on your mind. It can be empowering if you've been holding back, but it can also lead towards a lot of arguments if you do not handle it in like a conscious way. So speak your truth, but be aware of how you deliver it, guys, because not everything needs to be said immediately. And Aries, it speaks first and then it thinks. So yeah, we can definitely also see on a global stage that communication within the media is going to become more aggressive. They are trying to get us all within this yeah, fear mindset, and within also like mass formation psychosis in regards to war. That is going to have a bigger effect on our mental processing, so be a little bit more aware of that. We're definitely also going to see that play out in politics, and debates are definitely going to intensify. All the statements, if you think certain statements have been blunt, wait until Mercury enters Aries. Then it's going to become blunt. But also, information is going to spread way more quickly. And sometimes it's going to be without verification. Other times it's really going to be the full blown out blunt truth. So yeah, we can expect so many rapid announcements, and a lot of conflicts that are going to be driven by a lot of words and messaging. And with Uranus at 29 degrees, truths being revealed by hacking other people. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of feisty energy in the air for sure. Then on the 16th, Mars in Aries will sextile Pluto in Aquarius. This is a very empowering aspect, honestly. It's going to add like an opportunity, because sextiles, they come and they go. But if you do not take the opportunity, then nothing is going to change. So you need to put in some effort whenever there's a sextile. So we have this opportunity to channel power more effectively, and also with like good intentions. If you're gonna use your good intentions, then it's gonna become very empowering. We can like take control of certain situations, and if you face something difficult, we can then like move forward with strength and precision. It's going to test our resilience, or it's going to be handing us an opportunity to tap into that more fully. So there is courage, but do not be reckless. You need to be calculated, strategic. Pluto is also about like, yeah, underhand tactics, but be sure you do not use it for manipulation. Otherwise, it's going to backfire very fast. So of course, on a global level, a lot of strategic moves by governments. We're going to see a lot of powerful figures even gaining more power. Everything that has been happening behind the scenes is going to have some long-term consequences. And this is also about like a very big transformation, Pluto, within like technological advancements, with it in the sign of Aquarius. And definitely there's going to be some kind of frustration by the people about new implementations of AI and other types of technology. But we have this opportunity to do something about that during this time. So I'm wondering how that's going to play out. On the 17th, we are seeing our first new moon of this new astrological year here. And that will, of course, be the one in Aries. But look at you guys. John said in the beginning of this video, buckle up, buttercup. Well, this is going to be very necessary here, because look at this, you guys. Let me know, like in the chat, we probably have some psychics, some people who can read energy very, very well. This is going to be, wow. It's going to be cosmic fireworks, you guys. This is like, yes, Shannon, exactly. Kicking into higher gear. That is definitely the perfect translation of this Aries stellium. So yeah, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yes, exactly. Take a pause before speaking. Yeah, yeah. I think people are gonna need to bite their tongues off. That is gonna be the only possible thing to do. So yeah, very, very explosive. So be careful. Aries, it rules over our face, it rules over inflammation, it rules over pent-up frustration coming out like a volcano. Uranus is at 29 degrees, so we can see literal manifestations of, like, literally and figuratively, of things like really pent-up things like exploding. So of course, Aries and Mars in its home sign as well. It deals with knives, guns, bombs. Uranus, what's flying through the air. It also deals with like heat and fire, and some people are gonna have a little bit of difficulty in handling this energy consciously. If you're a fire or an air sign, you're gonna do a bit more like better with this energy, but definitely people who are unaware, people who are unevolved, oh my god, they can like really show their worst side. The new moon, it is on Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. So that is why I'm warning for our head, and especially also the eyes and the teeth, to not hurt yourself. Because when the Aries energy, it is not channeled consciously, we can bump our head. Like I do it every day, every single day. I bump my head. My boyfriend always laughs so much with me. And he says, like, if people who are not in Aries, if they were like bumping your head like you do, they would like end up in at like the hospital. So yeah, Aries, they have a very strong, big forehead, and really be careful about like bruises, cuts, burns, inflammation. All of that can be triggered a little bit more here during this new moon. But Chiron can also put a very big emphasis on healing. So it is the wounded healer. We need to really integrate our wounded ego, identity, issues of I am and I want and I desire. Something is, there's like a new seed being planted and that being healed. But because we have so many big egos on the world stage, this one can also actually inflict a lot of wounds, because it's conjunct Chiron. That is why I say be a little bit more careful. Do not go driving when you are angry. People are gonna be speeding. Aries, it likes to go fast. Like I always say, like when I was younger, I really wanted to become like an autopilot. How do you say it in English? Like I wanted to drive at the circuit, Spa-Francorchamps. Like I really love it, and still I need to refrain myself when driving the car. I think a lot of fire signs can relate to that. But so we need to be a little bit more careful for accidents and for hurting ourselves and also other people. Yeah, race car driver, yeah. Luckily, I have my dream job right now, but race car driver is something that I would really like to do as well. Yes, definitely. The month of boom, boom, boom. It's going to be very interesting. Yeah. All right. So, also, this is like a very big new initiation of a new version of ourselves that comes through. It is actually also a very powerful reset in our identity and a new direction, and within like implementing a new strong personal will. And again, guys, it's at the end degrees, 27 degrees. It is a Gemini degree. Major headlines, the news, transportations, cars. That is why I also said be careful while driving. And 27 is also about like elementary school and the younger people or the younger generation. So we can also expect some things in regards to that. But definitely, this is like your moment to kick off the new astrological year, to set new bold intentions around your independence. There can be a whole new seed blossoming within having this new courage and forward momentum. And it's also about like healing self leadership. So yeah, there's going to be a very strong push to start something new, to leave the old behind, and with that there's going to be like a whole new redefinition of who we are. So yeah, be a little bit more careful if you need to handle machinery at work. Actually, during the next 4 weeks with this Aries stellium, if you need to handle machinery, guns, if you work in the kitchen with knives, if you need to cook, be careful of burning and all of that. It's just like a little bit more in the air right now. Globally, of course, bold initiatives and a lot of new like directions within leadership. We can even see big new leadership that can be healing. We're also going to see some very big tyrants that are going to be inflicting a lot of wounds. depending on the nation or the country, of course. If you've watched my Aries workshop, then you know all the countries that are connected to Aries. Well, they are definitely going to be in the news for that. So, all right. Of course, then on the it is this slide. Yes, on the 19th, the sun is gonna enter Taurus, and Taurus season kicks off. So happy birthday to my dear, sweet, calm, stable Tauruses. Your energy is really appreciated so much here on this beautiful earth, and of course, by the end of April, you're gonna be relieved because Uranus is gonna leave your sign a couple of days later. So yeah, happy birthday and enjoy having to be able to tap into more of like the stability that you guys love so much whenever Uranus finally leaves your sign. Then on the 19th, Mars will conjunct Saturn in Aries. Another one to really mark the calendar because Mars and Saturn, they are the two malefics. And every 2 years, they come together and they plant a new seed. Now it's going to be in Aries at 7 degrees. If you have planets around, like, let's say 5 to 10 degrees of Aries, you're going to be in the direct line of fire. Other cardinal signs, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, anything around those degrees, you're also going to receive a direct hit from that. So, yeah, the sun, when it moves out, it will not longer be in Aries. I think that is rather positive, but still, Mars conjunct Saturn, oh, this is like a very big pressure point. I would say the biggest pressure point in the entire month. There is a confrontation here between impulse and reality. And our raw life force, it's going to meet up with limitation, and we can feel like we're hitting a wall. Now, these two, of course, there is a higher and a lower manifestation. If you've been taking accountability for yourself with Saturn and Aries, if you've been truthful, if you've been like, yeah, just taking good actions, having good intentions, if you've been putting in the work, then Mars Saturn can really grant you like a reward. And it's going to be a long lasting reward. If you've been behaving childish with Aries and like having, if you've been tapping into like the more unevolved version of Aries, then you're going to be hitting a wall. So there can be frustrations, there can be delays, but the wall is here to actually test your strength and your patience and your commitment. So it's actually not about speed, it's more about endurance. But yeah, people are going to be forced to confront obstacles head on. And Aries, it wants like instant gratification, but Saturn now limits that for the next year and a half, up to 2 years. And Mars is our energy. So it gets delayed, it gets refrained, it gets restricted. So yeah, we're all gonna feel a little bit blocked in our efforts. That can definitely be the case. And of course, Saturn, it deals with like the government. So we all collectively are gonna feel majorly challenged by authority figures. And we're going to be required like to take responsibilities in ways that we were probably not expecting, and it can be a brutal wake-up call. They can also like physically manifest in a bit more tension within the muscles, with a little bit more fatigue. We're going to feel a little bit like temporarily the need to slow down. But when we slow down and when we look at our conditioning and when we look at the things that are blocking within our lives, like it says something about us. So it's a good time to go within and to actually, yeah, it is where the real progress happens, you guys. So if you stay disciplined, if you keep showing up, then this is going to help you to build something solid. But we need to be willing to put in the hard work, and it's not going to be so easy here. And on the global stage, this is definitely going to correlate with restrictions. If they were to like kick off energy lockdowns, if they are going to try to go through with that, then it's probably going to be announced or going to come more fully into play here during this conjunction, because it's like an enforcement Mars about rules of the government, Saturn and Aries, not being able to be ourselves in some kind of way. And of course, Aries, it also deals with the military. So yeah, of course, we're gonna see tensions within the government around that. So yeah, big structural pressure and policies are going to be implemented, you guys. We're going to see limitations getting imposed or some kind of situation where our actions and our desire and our Aries fire, they're going to try to slow that down. They're going to try to regulate that. Authority is Saturn. So yeah, a lot of systems are going to get tested. They're going to get under a lot of pressure. And they're also going to reveal where there is strength and where they are failing. So this is a very, very big one, you guys. And then actually we have a triple conjunction. I actually couldn't like all put it on together one slide, but on the same day, a couple of hours later, Mercury will also conjunct Mars and Saturn in Aries. So we have a triple conjunction of Mercury, our thoughts, the news on Mars, our energy, conflict, and Saturn, the government and restrictions and limitations. Yeah, let me guys know what you feel about that. So hey, Hannah, chosen family. That is so beautiful, Hannah. She's also a friend from Belgium. She is so like she has her son in the 12th house. She's also like one of the big mystics here. So yeah, it is jam packed. Like I've been honestly, like Laura, I have been looking at the month of April now for the past 2.5 years. And I have been like, I'm not gonna say counting down, but more like a little bit wary about this whole month. And I've been saying it to my boyfriend for 2 years straight, like, oh my god, next year, like within 6 months, we're gonna enter Aries season and we're gonna have this big stallion. And like Aries, it's also like when things go up into flames, it also creates fertile ground. So we really need to keep that in mind. It's going to be very important. Fire just infuses new life, new growth. If things get destructed right now, there's going to be something that is going to blossom or bloom out of it. But first, we need to go through the destruction mode. So, Stain, you will fall in a black hole after this month has passed. Well, Stain, that is definitely a possibility because these bad boys all conjunct at 7 degrees of Aries, and my sun is at 7 degrees of Aries. So I was like, holy guacamole, what is going to be happening during that time? It's going to be very, very interesting for me. And if you are an Aries as well, we can maybe call one another and keep ourselves strong. Luckily, Aries has a lot of resilience. And like when an Aries gets kicked down, and I'm like now all talking collectively, when we are in Aries season and when we get kicked down, like Aries is like, I've been through way worse, and they're just like getting back up and they're immediately ready to like put on another fight. So luckily this happens in Aries, you guys. So thank you so much for this sweet comment, White Solar Bridger. Yeah, I feel banana. Well, that is actually funny, Hannah, because there's someone in the chat here with Anna Banana. So yeah. Shannon, you're so welcome. I love your shows so much. I think a lot of people are even gonna need your shows even more now through this big Aries season, as your voice does such a wonders, Shannon. And we can all like collectively need to like calm down our nervous system and our impulsive Aries fire a little bit more. So if you haven't watched Shannon's shows, that is definitely going to help you. All right. Then on the, yeah, with Mercury here in the mix as well. Oh, this becomes now like mentally as also like physically, because Mercury is about our thought and communication. And when it meets with Saturn and Neptune, the mind becomes sharp, focused, but also kind of tense and under pressure. It becomes very serious. And we're going to see and hear some very serious announcements. So spoken words on the television, yeah, of course, we do not look at the mainstream media. I'm not talking about that, but it can also like happen within our own personal lives, because Saturn can also resemble the father or father archetypes, or like our boss who's going to be nagging. That is all very possible and very real here. So we cannot let authority figures dominate us through this transit. It will be very important to empower ourselves with the Aries fire, but It is intense. It's going to be potentially confrontational, very confrontational communication energy here. And we're going to need to make some kind of difficult decision. That is possible. A difficult decision that is going to add some mental stress. And we might feel a little bit overwhelmed by certain responsibilities. Maybe we are going to be required to really finally address something that we have been avoiding. There's going to be no way around it anymore. So yeah, be careful about harsh words. You need to manage your frustration. But on the positive side, it can be very useful for strategic thinking and for making new plans, new commitments. If you put in the hard work, then you're definitely going to succeed. Because what you decide during this time, it's going to have a lot of staying power. So yeah, on a worldly level, major announcements, policy decisions, legal matters coming into great big focus, and they're going to communicate new rules that are going to be somehow involving restrictions or some kind of new plan that is going to require serious consideration. So a lot of big statements that are going to escalate tension and are going to trigger reactions. But it's good, you guys. People are waking up by all of it. So, and then as if this is all not enough, you guys, on the 23rd, Venus is going to conjunct Uranus at the final end degree of Taurus. Woo! Like... It is like this month, it is incredible, you guys. In our personal lives, we're either going to have a breakthrough or a disruption. And it's going to be a point that is going to like manifest within our love relationships, with our money. Venus is, of course, what we like attract, what we seem nice, beautiful, aesthetically, what is lovable. And Uranus, it brings sudden change and a lot of unpredictability. And with that also comes a very big awakening. At 29 degrees of Taurus, it is a culmination point, a very big global culmination point. I wouldn't be surprised if the global economy is going to take a very, very big, intense hit, and some kind of emergency measure mandate is going to be implemented to fix all of that. So, yeah, it is also on the more positive side an energy of liberation, but it disrupts through like this. It's like liberation through disruptiveness. So it's going to feel unstable and people are going to be freaking out. So hold space for those who are not being able to zoom out and look at the bigger picture, because people are going to be a little bit unhinged, you guys, especially from the 10th of April until the 25th. Things are going to become a little bit special. Let's just call it that. I do not want to also manifest the lower vibration, like the lower vibrations of it, but still, we're gonna see sudden breakups, a lot of changes. Can even bring unexpected attractions, and it can bring like someone you're so overwhelmingly attracted towards that, yeah, you're gonna be like head over heels in love. That is also a possibility. But yeah, globally, the market volatility will be through the roof, and a lot of financial shifts and a lot of disruptions in the banking system. And also, it's going to affect our resources by a lot of technological changes that they're doing right now as well. So a lot of unexpected news related to money, currencies, economic systems are going to be crumbling. And yeah, that is going to be a very big, massive awakening for the people. Because a little bit later, like, guys, I'm like still baffled by the astrology, because then we see also Venus entering Gemini, but then on the 25th, you guys, so only a couple of days later, 2 days after the Venus-Uranus conjunction, Uranus is going to enter Gemini, you guys. This is the last big outer planetary movement that is going to jump into its new sign, you guys. It's been 6,000 years ago since we saw all of the outer planets shift signs within like a time frame of 2-3 years. That is massive. So a very big like technological revolution. Uranus in Gemini, it's going to totally innovate and change how we think, how we communicate, how we learn, how we connect. And I'm gonna throw it out here while I'm at it, but Uranus was in Gemini during the 1940s. We are in the fourth turning. So even the turning before that was the Civil War. The turning before that was the American Revolution. And in the 1940s, of course, we saw World War II. And of course, that is not a surprise with everything that's going on right now. It's just like me not trying to scare you, but making you aware that it's just within the astrology and that we are going through this massive transition within major power dynamics on a global stage. So yeah, but with that also comes a major shift in our media, transportation, and how we deliver and exchange information. So yeah, we're gonna see a lot of like new decentralized media gaining a lot of traction, a lot of decentralized banking structures, new platforms, alternative education models. And of course, Melania just walked into the White House with a robot telling that they are be able to become the new teachers. That is, of course, also connected to Uranus and Gemini. So yeah, luckily, this is also going to bring a lot of new grassroots movements and a lot of digital activism because Uranus it is the rebel and Gemini are young people. And yeah, it's going to spark a lot of new Gen Z protests as well. So I'm going to make a whole new workshop about Uranus and Gemini, and that will be next month on the 26th of April. It will also be a Sunday. So we will launch that soon here. So I'll keep you guys informed about that. And it's going to be a way more positive workshop than the one in Aries. Aries season was a little bit more intense. But this is also going to bring so many new technological breakthroughs within healing. And Gemini also deals with our brain. So evolution, insights, liberation, setting free, truths in our brain and in our conscious thinking, and also within our neighborhood. Gemini rules the neighborhood. So yeah, a lot more to say about that, but I'm gonna save that for another video. I'm actually kind of excited about that because Gemini also rules over our brain chemistry, and Uranus is gonna like evolve and innovate and revolutionize that massively. We're all in for this like collective evolutionary process that is really gonna kick off in our brains, you guys. And yeah, I think that is something to really look forward to. When it trines with Pluto during the summer, we're gonna see so many new healing technologies, frequency technologies, free energy, 0 point energy, anti-gravital technology. All of that is like majorly in the cards. And teleportations and star portals and all of that. Yeah, this is going to be pretty exciting, and I'm really looking forward to to hear more about that. Yes, exactly, Shannon. Very exciting times. What we came here for. Yes, exactly. And it's also going to affect like solar flares and massive solar storms. And that is also going to help us evolve towards like a whole new level. And I'm just quickly reading the comments. John, I wonder if I have any unique thoughts or am I a product of my environment and circumstances? Like, this is actually such a striking like comment on what I've just said, because yes, you have unique thoughts, and no, you're not only just a product of your environment and circumstances. And it's so funny because thoughts is Gemini, and also unique is about Uranus, and environment is also about Gemini. So you're just like asking a question about this whole energy right here. So yeah, we're all going to be pondering more about that and diving even more deeply within our brain, and like brain waves and neurotransmitters and all of that is going to become major headlines and a lot of breakthroughs. Also within quantum computers, and that is also a big deal. And with all these weird things that are happening in CERN and the Mandela effect and all of that is all going to gain a lot of traction as well. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff, and it's going to become very mentally stimulating. And Gemini, it is very light and playful and curious. And Venus also then entered Gemini, so love is also becoming more like lighter and more fun and more flirty, and so that is actually very beneficial. Now, of course, I didn't highlight yet the Sun in Taurus square Pluto in Aquarius. Yeah, that one can give a little bit of power struggles. So be a little bit careful, because all together collectively, the Sun is going to put a very big spotlight on situations that are going to force us all to confront our own shadow. So yeah, Sun is leadership, square Pluto in Aquarius. We can even see power struggles between heads of state and the big tech giants, or them both announcing something that we're really not gonna like. So important to also keep that in mind. But there's going to be some kind of big event that is going to reveal hidden truths. It's going to be another corruption, another scandal getting exposed, and that is going to trigger then a lot of transformation within the political system, within our own lives. And this is really also a moment when like underlying tensions rise to the surface in order to be transformed and healed. But it's a square aspect, so that is a little bit more difficult to heal. So, oh, thank you so much, John. And like frequency is also like one of the big words of Uranus. And we're going to all have a very big boost and upleveling within our brain frequency. And of course, binaural beats and all of that is going to become even more popular and normal. So, yes, all very, very awesome. Yes, the vibes are definitely going to be shifting, John. That is for sure. So, then on the 26th, Mercury in Aries is going to square with Jupiter in Cancer. There is like a little bit of tension here with the square between details and bigger picture thinking, but do not. Mercury is the facts, and Jupiter is like the higher wisdom. So some of us are going to be so convinced that we know the truth, that we're going to be preaching some kind of stuff, while Mercury is going to be like, here, no, this is the facts, and maybe you need to change something within your belief system. And that is going to create a little bit of tension. So be careful about misinformation or like news that gets exaggerated. And there's going to be some kind of like conflicted narratives or some type of information that is not going to be entirely accurate. But yeah, what's new, right? But definitely we need to use discernment, and we need to really tap into critical thinking. That's going to be very essential. Then on the 26th, Venus in Gemini will sextile Neptune in Aries. That is going to be more romantic, very compassionate, more about idealism. So yeah, good for artistic inspiration, and it's going to heighten the emotional sensitivity. So very good for like artistic expression, and like telling or speaking about your emotions. And if there were some kind of music or film or like movie getting released during that time, then it can be very inspiring, very creative, and can bring people together. On the 28th, to then end the month, we have a Venus in Gemini that will also trine Pluto in Aquarius. So this is interesting, you guys. Every time something happens in Gemini at the beginning degrees, it's trining Pluto, it's sextiling Neptune, it's making an aspect with Saturn. Soon Uranus will be in Gemini as well. So it's like ping, 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 pinging all of the planets. And that is rather interesting. Definitely, if you have something personally around those degrees, especially the first 5 degrees of Gemini, then you are receiving a lot of positive aspects from that. So Venus trine Pluto in the beginning of the month, we have this square, and we're going to end the month with a trine. That is possible. That is very positive. So it's very deep, magnetic, and a very big transformative energy within relationships. It's good to see these two really work together, because it can actually bring in a lot of powerful connections. And by that, we are all going to tap into more of transformative experiences in love and also finances. So yeah, very big energy to like deepen your relationship. And on the world stage, this is definitely going to bring like some kind of new powerful alliance that is going to create a lot of like long-term impact. So yeah, interesting to see how that is all going to be playing out. Oh my God, you guys, this is going to be such a powerful month. Yeah, you guys are all gonna have to keep me in the loop about what's happening for each and every one of you. So while we're at this, you can now get 50% off of the Insider Access Pass. So this is actually so cool to engage with, because it doesn't happen a lot when you get 50% off. So really take your chance. You can use code spring50, and it's valuable from the 21 to the 27th. So we are the 29th today. I didn't really see that, but maybe if you're lucky, because we're weekend, maybe it's still going to be applying. So go to beyondmystic.net, and otherwise you can also of course here go to the academy, and you can now save 50% off with code spring50, and this is valid through March the 30th. So of course you can get all courses on the academy for 50% off. Also my Aries workshop, if you would like to see that, you can now get that for like this beautiful big discount to celebrate spring together. All right. Maybe I need to draw a card. Shannon, thank you so much. They have extended, so you can still get them for 50% off. Thank you so much, Shannon, for jumping in and letting me know. And here you can also have the exact link in which you can buy that. So yeah, very interesting. The Insider Access Pass, 50% off, and all of the workshops on the academy as well. So this is a very, very big chance. All right. Yes, we are going to. Stain also knows that it's extended for a few days. I do not know it, but that's funny. Thank you guys all so much for saying that and helping me. All right, let's maybe draw a card for the month of April. I'm very interested in what is going to be flying out of here, because yeah, this is like, yeah, one of the big peak intensities, most intense periods of 2026. Okay, something fell out, so let's see. The Healing Lagoon. Oh, two times. Okay, the first one is the Healing Lagoon, rejuvenate, recovery, time to heal, it's time to stop. So yeah, I think with the new moon conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer, it is really putting a very, very big emphasis on really rejuvenating yourself, so you can really tap into that Aries spark. And the new moon plants a very big seed in recovery and healing. And it is safe to stop. It's not because we have all these fiery planets in Aries that we need to go full force ahead and burning ourselves out. Because remember, you guys, we are in the year of the fire horse, and we really need to pay attention to like the dosage and our energy. We need to really have like new equilibrium within all of that. And I think the new moon in Libra now that we're having on the 1st of April is going to make us a little bit more aware of that. And look, you guys, there is another one that popped out, and it's the Isle of Avalon, healing, returning to wholeness, transformation. So another healing card, you guys. So I think this new moon conjunct Chiron is really going to be such a beautiful new beginning, and really tapping into a whole new like resetting of our identity, and just knowing that it's okay to be ourselves, and that we do not need to jump to conclusions. And if we are all a little bit unsure right now about where we are heading, just know if you take time to heal now and really focus on that and setting intentions for that with the new moon on the 17th, then within 6 months of time, we can like totally transform our identity, and we're really gonna feel like we're getting stuck out of the mud. And just be careful not to burn yourself out. And if you do bruise or bump your head or burn yourself, that is like a very big sign of the universe that you need to pace yourself a little bit more. And I know that's going to be a little bit more difficult to do with the Aries fire. So, all right. Six Fairy Light says, I've been working on my healing. That card is perfect. That is so beautiful. John says, the path seems to have a lot of broken glass. Maybe I should put some shoes on. Well, John, luckily here with us, we say whenever you break glass, that is actually, it means good luck. So do not be afraid to enter some glass. It's not going to shatter all completely. Some things are going to be shattering, but still, if you walk barefoot, then you can create a whole layer on your feet that is actually glass is not going to be affecting you anymore, even. So, walk more barefoot, feet on the grass, really create this protective layer on the back of your feet, literally and figuratively. And no, do not be afraid of broken glass. It should bring you luck this time. Yes, exactly, Stain. The island of Avalon. It is very, very beautiful. Exactly. So, all right, before I start, let's take a little sip. We're gonna be looking at the 12 rising signs, of course. So first listen to your rising sign, then you can also listen to your sun sign, and if there's something important happening in your moon sign, you can also, of course, listen for that. All right, we have Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So, the stars of today's show. My dear Aries, do we have some fellow Aries in the chat? Let me know, because this is like a peak activation period, the biggest one of the entire year. Everything that you're feeling, it's probably very fast moving. It can be colliding. It is really demanding your attention, and you're going to have to make some serious decisions. You might need to take some action. Just know that the intensity has a very big purpose. So, yeah, April, it is a very big initiation for you. And it is the beginning of something that is going to take shape in your real life. And just do not forget to breathe. You need to work with the energy. You need to take the initiative, be honest with yourself, and let go what no longer fits your new identity, you guys, because you're stepping into this whole new version and you're never going to be the same after this Aries season. And that is for the best, you guys. Of course, if we look, it is karmic, it is activating, it is transformative. Saturn is in your sign, Neptune, the sun, Mars will join in fast, and the full moon here in Libra, it puts a very big emphasis on your emotions and especially on your relationships and how you feel in regards to other people. So full moons are always a little bit more emotional, but now it's in your opposing sign. But it's also going to bring a lot of clarity in your connections with other people. And Libra, of course, it is about balance. Where are you behaving a little bit too much hyper independent? Are you frustrated that your partner behaves a little bit more codependent? Maybe you both gonna need to meet each other a little bit more in the middle. So, of course, it is about redefining your relationships to partnerships, and you need to learn that connection, it does not mean self-abandonment. I know you guys like to do stuff on your own, and maybe you need to listen a little bit more to what your partner has to say during these times, because maybe something important is going to happen in their lives, because what happens in the seventh house can also manifest within your partner's house. Partner's house, your partner's life. And also do not forget that it is in your opposing sign, so people are going to be mirroring a lot of stuff back and forth to you, and they might really teach you something about yourself, and you might not always like that. And if you're single, then you might actually meet someone during this time. And because it's like also in an opposition to Saturn, it might be someone that you really want to commit to, someone you want to put in the work for. So a very big turning point in relationships. Also, if we then look at the next moon, of course, that will be in your sign. The new moon in Aries on April the 17th will be, of course, conjunct Chiron also in your sign. So this is your biggest personal reset of the year. And it's a very freaking powerful one, you guys. Very big rebirth of your identity. And there can be kind of urgency. It's not going to be slow. You need to decide who you want to become next, and you need to heal something within your identity wounds. And by doing that, you're probably going to let go of an old version of yourself. So do not doubt yourself. Do not hesitate with Saturn and Neptune and Mars all conjunct in your first house. And with Chiron, there might be some kind of healing crisis. Can also be in your actual physical body. So take a little bit more care for your body. With Mars in your sign, your ruler in its home sign. Wow, you're gonna be on fire, my dear Aries. And it's actually a push for you to get into bigger, better, more accountable, like self mastery. So, this is an indication of major personal decisions and new beginnings. And you might change your appearance. Maybe you start a new job. Maybe you're going to recommit to a healthier routine. If you want to launch something new, then this is definitely the phase to do that. Yeah, you can, like, sports and movement is going to be of uttermost importance, my dear Aries. You need to channel the feisty Martian energy. Otherwise, it's going to implode and then you are going to explode and then no one benefits. But definitely a very good energy to go after the things that you desire, my dear Aries. So, the best days for you are, of course, April the 9th, because then Mars will enter your own sign. Your ruler is going to give you a very big boost. You can feel more like energy, more confident, more ready to take action. Everything is going to accelerate pretty strongly. And then on April the 16th, Mars is going to be sextiling with Pluto in your 11th. Very big important news and help and transformation through other people, mostly within your community, within your networks, within your social sphere. And this is going to bring a lot of momentum. A bit more challenging days are going to be the 13th, because the 13th Mars will be conjunct Neptune. There can be temporary confusion, lower energy. And then on the 19th, Mars will be conjunct Saturn, and then you're going to face some kind of pressure, frustration, or karmic test. Just know that it's normal, and stop hesitating. Fully step into your leadership position. You are here to lead, my dear Aries. So be the good example that we all want to live up to. And this is really going to be the moment when everything is going to shift. And you're going to look back at April and you're going to be like, oh, wow. Wow. Like, that was like the very big ignition point of a whole new start of my life. So good luck, my dear Aries. We have Taurus and Moon arising. You're going to have the full moon in Libra in your sixth house. And the sixth house is about your job, your work, your routines. It's your habits, your health and well being, and your daily responsibilities. Full moons always bring a culmination or some kind of turning point. So you can reach a major milestone at work, and you can meet a very big deadline. Some of you are going to be fed up with their work and they're going to let it go. If you want to apply for a new job, then this is the perfect energy to do it. Also, look at how stress is affecting your health and well-being, and maybe you need to release certain daily habits in order for you to find more balance within your daily service towards other people. And also, a lot of Tauruses, they become so used to carrying the load, to staying reliable, to really pushing through and being tough, and maybe you're not always noticing where certain routines are no longer serving you. Maybe they can create a little bit stress. The sixth house is the house of stress, and with a full moon you can now actively decide to release certain habits and routines that are becoming too overwhelming or too stressful for you. It would be very useful to really eliminate something within that in order to, like, find new equilibrium within your health and well-being. So because it's in Libra, it affects your relationship to your usefulness, your self worth, and also your productivity. And maybe you need to realize that you do not need to overgive or over function in order to be well liked or accepted. You are perfect and beautiful the way you are, Taurus. So take really good care of yourself. And if you have been dealing or struggling with certain health issues, then you can now find a solution for that. So, yeah, do not neglect your pleasure and, like, your emotional regulation. Do not overfunction. Some of you are, like, over functioning right now to actually avoid what you feel when things get a little bit more quiet. So take some more quiet time. Saturn and Neptune, they are in your 12th house, and you're going to have this whole stellium building up in your 12th house. If you're not going to take good care of yourself right now, then you're going to hit some kind of a burnout in April, especially around the 17th, when Mars and Saturn are going to be conjuncting in your 12th house. Your chart ruler, of course, good news, because Venus, which rules over you, my dear Taurus, will be operating within your sign starting off March the 30th. So that is going to increase your charm and your magnetic feelings, and people are going to be attracted towards you. And it's a very beautiful energy to enjoy the finer things in life. So do not give yourself permission to do that. Otherwise, you're going to be forced to look at your mental health later in April. Because if you look at the new moon here in Aries on the 17th, then that will be in your 12th house. So, of course, the 12th, it is way more introspectional, and it's like very reflective, private, mystical kind of house. So, this is a little bit more, how do we say it, a little bit more calm and behind the scenes, and you might need more quietness, and you can feel a little bit more fatigued. It's more about internal closure, and there's going to be some kind of energetic release. And the 12th is also about spiritual preparation and introspection and mystical synchronicities that are guiding you on your next path. But if you're going to continue to overwork, then you're going to be missing those beautiful signs. So, really take some time off to reconnect with your sense of health and well being and withdrawal and sleep a little bit more. Your dreams might get a little bit more active starting from the 9th of April, because Mars will be entering your 12th house, and then dreams might become more active, more feisty. Sometimes people tend to struggle temporarily with nightmares, because Mars, it is such an action packed planet within your 12th house of dreams and sleep. So, Mars is also about energy, and in the 12th, it can get a little bit more dissolved. So, if you feel a little bit more fatigued, just know that it's normal, my dear Taurus, and just listen to your body. Very beautiful stellium here for meditation, taking a break, going on a spiritual retreat, and yeah, making more of an effort to clear old energy. That is really gonna help you, and clean out your bedroom or like the attic. That is also like energetically gonna help you. New intentions here for new spiritual practices, and release everything that has been keeping you stuck. Now, the positive days for you, my dear Taurus, are of course the 13th of April, because Venus, your chart ruler, will sextile Jupiter in your third house from your sign. So, very blissful energy, good conversations, more support, more ease. And then, of course, on the 19th, the sun enters in your sign and Taurus season kicks off. So, happy birthday. Energy is going to start to return slowly to you. Be mindful about the 23rd of April, because then Venus will conjunct Uranus. There can be exciting change, but be careful about making impulsive decisions around money. Now, I know, my dear Taurus, that that's normally not your thing to do. You're very stable, but still, there can be a surprise and a shakeup in love or relationships. Also, on the 26th, Venus will sextile Neptune, and then on the 28th, Venus will trine Pluto. So, actually, your chart ruler is doing a lot of things this month as well. So, a lot of breakthroughs. Now, a bit more challenging days for you, Taurus, is actually April the 3rd, because Venus will square Pluto. There can be some pressure or power dynamics. The 13th, Mars will conjunct Neptune in your 12th house. There can be some confusion. And then on the 19th, Mars will conjunct Saturn. So there is like a very big karmic release, but that can feel a little bit overwhelming. So slow down and really protect your energy. Good luck, my dear Taurus. We have Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising. All right, Gemini, April. Oh my God. It's going to be such a biggie. And of course, we start off the month on the 1st of April with a full moon, and it's in your 5th house. It's in a fellow air sign, Gemini. This is so positive, because the 5th house is the house of fun, and it's where things get born, and it's very expressive, and it's about like letting your hair down and enjoying some good times and leisure activities. It's also about romance and creativity, and in the 5th house we also find our kids. So yeah, this is bringing some kind of culmination. or a realization in the themes that I've just mentioned. So Libra, it wants beauty and sweetness and emotional harmony. And the full moon is really going to reveal where your joy has become a little bit imbalanced. Do not play small. Really, just go out and let your hair down and have a good time, especially also with your friendships, as there's a whole stellium building within your 11th house of your social sphere and community. And the moon here, it really asks you to reconnect with what makes you feel alive. And of course, sometimes you get so wrapped up in this mental stimulation that sometimes you forget to ask whether something is actually nourishing your spirit. So if you have been not if you've not been making enough time for fun, then you really need to re-implement that right now. It's going to be saving grace from the whole stellium in your 11th house. So can also turn up like as a romantic turning point, or the date of your life. Maybe a friend is going to become a lover or vice versa. But there's definitely also important news coming involving children. So, and if you are very passionate about some project, then that can also see some kind of big release or culmination. If you then look at the new moon, that will be in your 11th, and the 11th, it is also one of the most like exciting and futuristic or future oriented parts of the chart. Aries is very bold and independent, and it's positive because it makes a sextile aspect towards your sign. So, this is perfect for entering new communities, having new collaborations with other people, new friendships, and new long term goals getting kicked off here. So, yeah, it is about like also recognizing that growth requires new environments, and you really like you need to go out and about. And if you receive invitations, please, Gemini, say yes. They're going to grant you new opportunities. New doors are going to be opening thanks to friendships. So actually, what a beautiful forecast. Let's just have some fun and reconnect with our friends and our loved ones, and that is then going to help us progress and moving forward. So yeah, good time to be Gemini. And also, Uranus is about to enter your sign on the 26th, you guys. Like, buckle up, because this is going to be a very, very big change. You already had a sneak peek last year. Now Uranus will fully move into your sign. So there's going to be some kind of shake up, wake up, innovation, a whole new way of presenting yourself to the world. Be careful of using too many shock tactics to have fun. Other people can maybe be a little bit surprised about that, but definitely it's also like revolutionizing your identity and the way how you communicate and process information. And you guys are such a fun, light, playful sign. And the good news is also that Venus will ingress into Gemini this month as well. So, yeah, this is actually very positive energy for you. And with the new moon in your sign, it's really like about who inspires you and energizes you, and who understands the direction that you're now heading in. And you're really going to become very aware of who is at your side and if they're really like having your back. Um, if you want to launch something on social media, then this is a very, very powerful time to do that. You're going to gain more like traction, a bigger audience. All of that can like massively expand. And of course, your chart ruler Mercury is actually still right now traveling through your career sector. If we go back here, Mercury is still in the 10th house. But then on the 19th, it will shift over into Aries here in your 11th as well. So, yeah, also your chart ruler is making a very significant switch here, and it will first conjunct Neptune. So, there can be some, maybe you're going to receive a message from a friend, and that can add a little bit of confusion. But if you zoom out and tap into your intuition and look at it from a spiritual perspective, then you can gain like a lot of insight, and you can even like psychically communicate with people like way more easily. It is like, yeah, I'm forgetting the words right now. Also, Mercury is coming out of post shadow on the 9th of April. You're going to feel a very big switch in your mind and how you process information. So yeah, telepathic thinking, that was the word that I was looking for. You can even telepathically speak and talk with friends during this time. So if you pick up on certain things from your friends, just know that it's your chart ruler in the 11th that is doing that. So the best days for you, my dear Gemini, are of course whoops, I'm going too fast, typically Aries. The best days for Gemini are of course the 3rd of April. Mercury is going to trine Jupiter for the 3rd time. And what do we say? Third time's really charm. So you're going to get some very positive news here. Then, of course, also on the 18th, Mercury will sextile Pluto. Very good for like persuasive communication and yeah, transformation within your thought patterns. The only thing you need to be a little bit careful for is April the 26th, because Mercury will square Jupiter. So do not do not overpromise, do not overextend yourself in a social way, and then that is going to be all right. So good luck, Gemini. We have Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You are going to have the full moon in Libra and another cardinal sign. So within your fourth house, squaring you by sign. So that is a little bit more action packed, a little bit more challenging, and especially very sensitive because Cancer, you are ruled by the moon and it's in your fourth house. The fourth house traditionally belongs to Cancer. A very big full moon here for you, Cancer. The fourth, it is about home, family, roots, your emotional security. And this is a very beautiful full moon to release patterns and upbringing, really getting through the conditioning. Something is completely like something is going to become more or bring more clarity, and there can be a shift within your living situation, maybe in regards to your mother or your father, because of course when we look at the 10th and the fourth house, that is about the father and the mother, and in the 10th of course we have Saturn. So there can be something coming up in regards to parental figures and maybe even your boss. Maybe you want to spend a little bit more time at home because your career can ask a lot of you. Saturn and a 10th can even also give some kind of like delay or restriction within your career, and maybe you're waiting on news. That is also the possibility. Just know by the 19th of April, whenever Mercury shifts over into the 10th house, you can have news that you have been waiting on, if that was the case. Of course, also the fourth house full moon, it is also like asking you what truly makes you feel safe, and not what looks safe, and not what is familiar in your daily habits, but more what is actually nourishing your nervous system and what makes you feel safe, seen, and heard. Where do you belong? And maybe you're going to realize that you've outgrown certain emotional patterns, especially those that are tied to family and childhood and caretaking, and maybe something in your home life needs your attention. Maybe something happens within the family. Maybe you are caretaking a little bit too much. Maybe you're releasing certain patterns. Do not try to keep everything stable within your family while also neglecting your own deeper needs. Some of you are going to move, others are going to make a decision in regards to home, others are going to go to a family gathering, or some kind of situation at home that is reaching a conclusion. So, if we then look at the new moon for you on the 17th of April, that will be also in another cardinal sign. So, for Cancer and Capricorn, and also, of course, Libra and Aries, very important the upcoming month. But the new moon will be in the 10th. And the 10th is about your career and your purpose. And it's also about being very publicly visible. Look at this stallion in your 10th house. So many planetary energies in the 10th. If you want to hide underwater or in your shell, well, that is not going to work this month. You're going to be visible whether you like it or not, and you might need to embrace a bigger leadership kind of role. Maybe you're going to step up in your career. Maybe you finally get the news that you've been waiting on, and there's like a whole big acceleration going on within your house of career. If you're self-employed, then you can like totally restructurize your entire like foundation and infuse it with even more spirituality and more accountability. And yeah, this is definitely, you need to become more comfortable with authority, visibility, and you really need to believe in yourself. Maybe I know you guys are a little bit more sensitive, and some of you cancers are also a little bit fearful of exposure, of like being judged or being watched or being like expected to perform in some kind of way. But do not block yourself, do not shrink yourself, do not stand in your own way. You can really live up to your own ambition and embrace this leadership role without apologizing for it. You deserve it. And Jupiter is in your sign now, direct, not longer afflicted by the square to Saturn. So, definitely more blessings are coming through for you right now. So, let me know what those blessings are and plant a whole new big seed in regards to your career, and you're going to be rewarded massively. So, yeah, it's time to grow up in regards to your career and really implement all of the beautiful knowledge that you have learned up until now. You can really now bring that into practice. So do not hide your ambition. Do not doubt your readiness. Do not wait to feel safe enough before acting, because April, it's not going to give you like the luxury of waiting. The opportunity is gonna come and the new structure is forming, and you're gonna have to go with the flow and just like trust yourself, and it's all gonna be very okay actually. So positive days for you, my dear Cancer. Of course, Mercury is going to trine Jupiter in your sign on April the 3rd. That already can bring a lot of yeah, supportive news, maybe even news related to travel, education, your career, bringing more optimism. That is going to be very, very helpful for you. A little bit more challenging here for your Cancer. The full moon, of course, it is in the most sensitive house of your zodiac wheel. And on the 5th of April, the sun is going to square Jupiter. Do not overextend yourself professionally. Do not prove yourself. Do not overpromise. And also, yeah, other than that, it's going to be a very, very positive month for you, my dear Cancer, in which you can really fully progress within, like, yeah, your career actually. So that is going to be of major help for you, my dear Cancer. And I wish you a lot, a lot, a lot of good luck. So, next one we have Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. All right, my dear Leo. Yeah, this is gonna be big. Here you're gonna have a stellium forming within your ninth house. So a lot of planetary energies within your ninth house. It's gonna be in Aries and a fellow fire sign. It's gonna make a trine towards the Sun, Moon, or Rising. That is actually very, very positive news, my dear Leo. The ninth house, it is the house of expansion, travel, education, publishing. It's going to rewire your belief system. Can put an emphasis on legal matters as well, but it's definitely trying to put attention on like the bigger meaning in your life. So, yeah, it's about this month for you. It's about getting out of a smaller mindset and stepping into something wider. Expand, be bolder, be more. And it's add more meaning to everything that you're doing. That is gonna like come by itself. So your chart ruler is, of course, the sun, and it's also shining brightly within your ninth house and trining your Leo placements. So, yeah, this is energizing, it is motivating, it's bringing you new visions. You can feel more adventurous, more inspired, more willing to take risks, and maybe you want to like connect more to your own vision. And of course, this is like all so beautiful because it's also about implementing and teaching what you learn. You have this full moon in Libra here in your third house. And the third house is about learning, writing, speaking, your siblings, your neighbors, also contracts, and communication is also like the biggest theme here in the third. So something completes, some kind of clarity comes through, and definitely clarity around how you express yourself and how you process information. And third house can get really busy, like doing errands or going to your siblings, figuring stuff out with the neighbors, all of that is really like, oh, the third house, it can feel mentally overwhelming from time to time. But now something culminates within that. So there is more mental clarity and more, yeah, softer communication. And Leo, you always lead from the heart. But this one, it is asking you to get like more clearer in your mind. So are you saying what you really mean? And do you communicate directly enough? Probably yes, because you're a fire sign, but still, do not try to keep the peace by not speaking 100% honestly. So others are gonna others are gonna find like a renewed sense of confidence in their voice. So yeah, do not edit yourself too much. Share something that you maybe have been sitting or pondering upon for quite some time. The third house also deals with like websites, email lists, podcasts, blogging, sending a newsletter, public statements, paperwork, emails, contracts. So, yeah, that is definitely going to be major themes here for you in the next few weeks. If we don't look at the new moon for you, my dear Leo, that will take place in your ninth house, along with the Aries stellium in the ninth. So it's going to trine you if you have some placements at the later degrees of Leo. So this is very, very exciting. It's going to be pretty close towards the 10th house cusp. So the 10th house also deals with your career and vocation, and something you say, teach, or publish from the ninth can become very publicly visible, can even have a positive effect on your career. So, also with Uranus wrapping up its transit through your 10th house, mostly when it's about to shift over to a new sign, it tends to hand out a lot of unexpected blessings within the house that it shifts over from. So, blessing, unexpected turning points within your career, maybe with your boss, maybe with your father. Something unexpectedly is going to shift here. And the new moon in the ninth, that is really about like new horizons, new belief systems, applying for like a new study or a course, or meeting a mentor, or new opportunities to publish, travel, and expand your worldview. So Aries there, of course, it brings a lot of confidence and also urgency. And you might feel like there's like a bigger power really guiding you to where you need to travel, where you need to meet certain new people that are going to help you on the next leg of your journey. And you're outgrowing a very big, like, old worldview. And some Leos can get a little bit more attached to like a particular vision of how things are supposed to go. But now this moon is like really saying that stay open to like the bigger path, and realize maybe some things that you used to believe are no longer fitting your current situation. And the ninth house is also the house of philosophy and like culture. If you connect with people from a different cultural background than your own, and they're gonna like teach you a lot of new insights, and by that your whole belief system is gonna get rewired. So this is actually very positive for traveling and like embarking on a whole new spiritual path that is then gonna like totally rewire your identity. Wait until Jupiter enters your sign, my dear Leos. I'm so excited for you. That is going to be very, very positive. It will do that by the end of June. So, positive days for you are, of course, let's think. You guys are ruled by the sun. So, a little bit more challenging here will definitely be the 25th of April, because then the sun will square Pluto from like your seventh house to your 10th house. There might be some struggles, power struggles with either business partnerships or bosses or parents, or like that is definitely possible. A more positive day for you is really going to be Venus conjunct Uranus, because that is going to be on the 23rd of April, and there's going to be some kind of exciting new career development, or some kind of surprise, or a public breakthrough. So that is that for you, my dear Leo. So thank you so much, Laura, for adding that. Very interesting. Been looking at the bigger picture recently, and a new path. Yeah. after April, you're going to embark on such a new spiritual path, and it's going to open many new doors for you to also share your wisdom with other people. So, yeah, we're all expecting a new path with this whole big Aries stellium. So, yeah, for a lot of people, April will be a very, very big change for sure. So, good luck, Leo. We have Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, and I'm just quickly looking here as I have Virgo. All right, so Virgo, you have the new moon in Libra in your second house. So this is actually rather positive, my dear Virgo, because the second house, it is really also about your money and your self worth, and it's also really about like your values and your skills and talents. So it is a very positive full moon to have, but it's adding a lot of pressure on like and a lot of spotlights on your financial axis. Look, you have the full moon in Libra in your second, and then you also have this whole stellium building up in your eighth house. So very, very financial for you, my dear Virgo, as well. For, of course, Pisces rising, you guys this month are having the most emphasis on the financial axis. So, of course, yeah, this can bring like unexpected costs or unexpected new like breakthroughs within your financial world. So something to be mindful of is like full moons, they are about like release portals. So when it happens in the second house, then it can give like an unexpected cost, but with that also comes the opportunity for implementing a whole new stream of income. So think about what you are very good and talented at, because the second house, it also deals with like your self-esteem and your confidence and your skills and talents. And when you hone into that, then you can really set yourself up for like multiple new streams of income. So also Libra, it comes through the other person. So like some kind of beauty like industry can also bring you in money, or something having to do with other people like relationships or one-on-one clients. Residual income is also something to be looking at, because full moons can also give some kind of a completion within your job and within the ways how you make your own money. The second house, it is about the things that we do, that we earn, that actually are going to feed us and are going to make us feel stable and secure. So look at what you've planted 6 months ago during the new moon in Libra. Something now is coming to a very, very big culmination. So, of course, it can also mean that you complete some kind of course or study, or maybe you want to invest a little bit more within your own skills and talents. And when you do that and spend some money on that right now, that can bring a lot of fortuitous energy within 6 months of time whenever you have the new moon in Libra. So if you practice that right now, then within 6 months of time, you can also implement a new source of income, with the new moon being planting a whole new seed within your second house. Also, with this whole Aries stellium building within the eighth, there is a very big emphasis right now on what you earn versus what you share, and what you get from other people versus what you work for yourself. And something within that is changing massively. So having this big stellium building up in the eighth house, there can be unexpected windfall of money. The eighth house, it deals with shared finances, shared resources, energetic, emotional, psychological entanglements with other people. It can also deal with debts and taxes. Maybe you're being put in a position right now where you're going to be able to eliminate certain debts. And by that, you feel more confident and more like, yeah, more well versed, or like more relaxed again. That is also a very big possibility, because it does signify a culmination here in your second house. But then if you look at your chart ruler, of course, Mercury is your chart ruler, and it's been going retrograde through the seventh. Luckily, it's wrapping up this transit and also post retrograde motion. So Mercury will come out of shadow on the 9th of April. That is going to be very, very positive, as then finally you're going to feel like you're going to start moving again. And if you work on like a one-on-one basis or with clients or with a business partner, you might have thought or found that in the last couple of weeks you had to reschedule a lot, meetings, appointments. So yeah, it is actually been a little bit destined, and that could have created a little bit of stress and maybe a little bit of frustration also with Mars going through your seventh house. When Mars goes through the seventh, there can be some overall frustration with other people, or maybe they are getting frustrated and are projecting that onto you, and vice versa. So that is definitely something that you might have noticed in the past couple of weeks. But that is all going to get better as soon as Mercury comes out of shadow by the 9th. Now, on the 9th, we also see that Mars is going to ingress into your 8th house. The 8th house is the most deep and intense house there is. So Mars, it is kind of loud, it is kind of triggering. When it goes into the 8th, it can really trigger some deep-seated issues. Be careful if you feel overwhelmingly suddenly attracted towards another person, because the 8th house also deals with sexuality, and Mars is also a very sexual planet. And when it comes into the 8th house, it can give a very important experience that can transform you. But Mars is going to have to meet up with Neptune and Saturn. So be mindful. You can feel a little bit more exposed. The 8th house is also where our trauma and our triggers lie, and Mars can definitely re-inflame something. So you might need to be a little bit more careful and attentionate towards that. Sometimes I found with clients that when Mars travels through the 8th, that it can bring up some deep-seated issues and fears, but it's actually re-triggering you in order for you to like bring it up from under the depths, and then it can be healed. Very positive time here with the new moon in the 8th, also to dive into therapy, to really connect with someone that is going to help you put things into perspective, because it's a very deep psychological kind of house. And with the new moon here, you can definitely plant some new seeds and new intentions around getting rid of debt, changing your mortgage, loans, taxes. All of that belongs to the 8th house. So something new is trying to emerge here. And it can give you a lot of new psychological insight about what you desire and what motivates you. And it can definitely, like, the whole stellium in Aries here in your 8th house, it is like predestined that you're going to have some kind of very deep, intense emotional experience. So do not back down. The 8th house, it can bring up some more difficult things, but it's doing that in order to empower you and transform you. So it's about reclaiming power, reclaiming lost parts of yourself. It is also about like soul retrieval, would be very beneficial to do that during this Aries stellium. If someone has stolen something energetically, financially, emotionally, then this new moon in the 8th is the perfect seed to plant like new intentions for you to get that back. And you can definitely do that with like a regression therapist, or like even with yourself and your visionary. Like the 8th house is a very occult, deep, mystical house. So you're gonna have some psychic or occult things happening, especially when Mars conjunct Neptune. That is going to be a very, very profound period. So, best time for you is definitely the 9th of April, as Mercury, your chart ruler, is going to come out of shadow. Its post shadow phase here after the retrograde. And then it will be at 22 degrees, and things finally start to move forward again. Maybe over the past 3 weeks, you've had a very important message, and then it kind of came to a halt. Well, you can have more positive news here whenever it goes like forward again, but you do not have to wait so long, because on the 3rd of April, Mercury, your chart ruler, is going to make a trine with Jupiter in your 11th house. So you can sign a positive new contract, have some very positive news from your friends. So that is definitely going to be very, very helpful. Now, more difficult days for you are definitely going to be the 16th, because then Mercury will be conjunct Neptune. So be careful not to get deceived in regards to finances that you share with another person. And then a couple of days later, around the 20th, also 19th, Mercury will be conjunct Mars and Saturn. So look at shared finances, and also look at what your partners is doing with like uh, joint accounts. It's going to be beneficial for you to have enough insight about that. So I wish you good luck, my dear Virgo. We have Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising. All right, my dear Libra, you are of course also one of today's like stars of the show, because there is a new moon, a full moon happening in your sign. So do we have some Libras in the chat here? You might feel a little bit more, yeah, emotional. It is a very big emotional culmination and an ending here happening that in your sign. And of course, there is a very big Aries stellium building in your seventh house of partnerships. So this month, it is all about love and the other people, the other person, relationships, commitments, contracts, clients, collaboration. That is really like the key theme here for you, my dear Libra. So it is not light or casual, because yeah, Neptune and Saturn are in your house of the other person. It's very karmic and very defining and also very revealing. Now, of course, your chart ruler Venus, we always look at what's Venus doing, because she belongs to you. She is going to enter Taurus here on the 30th. So in your eighth house, love, intimacy, shared money, deep emotional bonds, also vulnerability, and that is all like majorly highlighted. All kinds of entanglements. So yeah, it can be very much about soul bonding, but be careful about power dynamics with the square to Pluto in your fifth house of love. Also, the full moon here for you, it is really like, look at the people who stand directly across from you and what they are mirroring back and forth. That is going to be very, very important. And you really need to be yourself within relationships without fully disappearing into them. There is some kind of big release in regards to codependency or being too overly people pleasing towards other people. I know you mean it very well, Libra, but sometimes you can be a little bit more selfish. And maybe this Aries stellium and other people are now going to learn you how to do that. So yeah, full moon in your sign is incredibly personal, and it shines a light on you, on your identity, your body, your needs, and also how you are showing up in relationships. So very, very powerful moment here for you. And then with Venus in the eighth squaring Pluto, there can be some power struggles being revealed. So be a little bit careful about obsession and jealousy and possessiveness, especially also from other people. If we then look at the new moon, that will be in your seventh house. So, of course, also the house of relationships. So, this is the biggest partnership reset of the entire year for you. And Aries is very direct, very bold, it knows what it wants, and it's not vague, it's not subtle. And this whole new moon is not going to be that as well. So, if you're single, then this can definitely bring someone in. So much energy in the seventh house. You might start dating, might commit yourself, and it's going to be more beneficial to start dating starting from this new moon and wait 2 weeks after your full moon, because look, your chart ruler Venus, it is no longer squaring Pluto, but it is about to make a conjunction to Uranus in the eighth house. So that is actually very interesting. The conjunction to Uranus can definitely give like unexpected pennies from heaven, unexpected connections with other people, unexpected attraction. And really, it's like the eighth house is the deeper layer of like your relationship. Like, who does what, who does the dishes, who goes working, who brings in so much money, how many times we sleep together. That is like all the eighth house. So that is more positive, as Venus is actually not afflicted. And on the 13th, she will make a sextile with Jupiter in your 10th house. So you might have a very positive message from your work that is going to bring in more money, or very important message in regards to investments that can also be very, very helpful for you. So the best days are, of course, the full moon in Libra on April the 1st for you. And then, of course, the 13th with Venus sextile Jupiter. Oh, that is going to be so lovely. Blessings in love, more support, more abundance. And then Venus is also going to trine with Pluto on the 28th. And that can be about very deep bonding and powerful attraction. So, yeah, there is definitely someone who in the cards here for you. But watch the 3rd of April because Venus is going to square Pluto, and that can bring a lot of jealousy and control issues. So be wary who you let like enter your heart or your pants during this time because that can turn sour really quickly with the square to Pluto. So yeah, overall, stay soft, but do not be too passive. And it's learning you this month how to actually stay lovingly without self-sacrificing. And you can tell the truth without actually fearing conflict. Some partnerships are actually going to deepen because of that. So good luck, my dear Libra. We have Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising. My dear Scorpio, you're going to have the full moon in Libra within your 12th house. So a little bit more quiet. This is more about like introspection and it's more behind the scenes. But Scorpios, I know you are so deeply like psychologically entwined with yourself and also other people. But the 12th house can sometimes resemble like a little bit exhaustion or needing more rest, withdrawal, and the full moon is definitely going to eliminate what has been hidden. This is talking to subconscious patterns, sometimes a little bit burnout, exhaustion, but it can also bring a lot with like spiritual messages and synchronicity. So it's also going to shine a spotlight like on the behaviors that are quietly working against you, and maybe you might need to rework something in that. This can be very internally revealing here this full moon. It's going to become pretty clear what drains you, what you need to release, also what is like happening behind your back or behind the scenes that you can no longer ignore. So of course, the 12th is also about hidden enemies. Maybe some hidden enemy reveals itself and you're going to release that. And by cutting loose from their energetic toxicity, that is going to then have a positive effect on your health. I know that sounds a little bit more intense, but I know you Scorpios can definitely handle that. And I'm saying that because you really need to pay attention to your health. Saturn and Neptune are in your 6th house, you guys. But this full moon is definitely gonna, yeah, show you where you need to become more honest with yourself and your own patterns. The 12th house is also about self sabotage. And I know you're very strong, very resilient, but sometimes when you get out of the stinker, you simply just sabotage yourself because you feel like you lose control. And because you lose control, you just like cut people out of your life because you cannot longer control them. And then you're actually shooting yourself in the foot. So it's like also about rebalancing that out from time to time. But the positive side is that I know you guys are very psychic and very deep people. And with the full moon in the 12th house, there is definitely a very big emphasis on spiritual practices. And if you can take a spiritual retreat, that would also be very, very beneficial to actually release and purge some self sabotaging behavior or rewiring some subconscious beliefs and installments here, definitely in connection with other people. So yeah, it is very, very interesting, the 12th house. It is mystical, and maybe you're gonna decide to step back from like a draining commitment. The 12th house is also about our dreams. You can have prophetic messages and dreams, and maybe you're also going to realize that your body and your mind need a little bit more support, with Saturn, Neptune, and Sun all in your 6th house. If we then look at the new moon for you guys, that will be in the 6th, of course, very close towards the descendant. So it's gonna really have an effect on other people here. Yeah, John, I know. I just read that you're a Scorpio rising. When someone drains me, I know I'm very abrupt at ending the relationship without emotion. It is strange from the way I once was. Well, yeah, Scorpio risings and sun are like notoriously known for that. They can just like cut out people from their life like they never existed. I once got very, very hurt by a Scorpio doing that to me. So yeah, sometimes it can be beneficial. Other times it's also because you guys do not want to get like confronted with your patterns of control. And that is what I meant by saying what the full moon in Libra is gonna highlight for you, because you tend to be sometimes a little bit out of touch with relationships, because Libra is on the cusp of the 12th house. And I'm sorry if I'm going to be triggering some Scorpios here listening. I'm just saying that because I love you guys, and because I just simply want to help you with that. Yeah, draining, like, it depends on draining. Sometimes people also trigger you, and then you can have difficulties in releasing some of your control, and then sometimes you get tested in those regards. But definitely, if they are sucking the life energy out of you, then it's very, very important to end toxic cycles. So that is very good of you, John. So um twos and down, Scorpio here. Don't let them door hit ya where the good Lord split ya. That is funny. Thank you. Yeah, relationships. I know, John. For Scorpios, they are so, they can get so controlling, that they sometimes shoot themselves in the foot. And I think Scorpios are so strong. Do not get me wrong. Like, I love Scorpios. They are intense, but I kind of really dig that. And they have such a big bullshit detector and this X-ray vision, and they can read people very, very well. But I sometimes feel like they lack a little bit self-knowledge, and they can point fingers to others very, very well. But sometimes they need a little bit more. They need to look a little bit more in the mirror, because it's not because someone triggers a Scorpio that they have like ill intent. Sometimes they just want to help them. But if they sometimes they an unbalanced Scorpio can feel very inferior to other people, and definitely to relationships. And that is actually the whole point in how they self-sabotage themselves, because Libra is on the 12th house cusp, and sometimes they then lose people who are actually very important to them and who actually care deeply for them, because they had this tiny notion of losing control. So yeah, but I kind of love Scorpios. They can really transmutate the darkness in a very, very yeah, important way that other signs definitely cannot. So I do not want to bash them, but yeah. Scorpios are very interesting. I love them. They're so complex. Yeah, I have been told that I am cold, John. Yeah, but I remember you're a Capricorn sun as well. So yeah, having Scorpio and Capricorn then also combined, that is like a double dose of like authority and strictness and toughness. And yeah, it's good that you are aware of that, John, because beyond like the wall that you're putting up, because you're afraid of getting hurt, because you feel so deeply and intensely, beneath that there is such a sweet, lovable person who feels so deeply that they have this big dose of love that they cannot fully sometimes release on other people, because others then find that too intense. But that's actually the reason why I love Scorpio. So I actually use tropical astrology, Western whole sign house system, Dopa Mudra. So I'm glad you Scorpios can take it. I know when I do readings with Scorpios during my client sessions, I can really like go to the deeper layer, and sometimes they frown at me with some of the things I'm saying. But after the session, they're always like very, very happy. Sometimes we need to touch on a little bit of more difficult topics, and with Scorpios, you can definitely do that. They are very deep and intense. So where was I? So the new moon here in your sixth house. Yeah, six fairy lights, exactly. People call me a light switch, quick to cut someone off. Yes, but that is mostly like a coping pattern of being afraid to get hurt. And that is like you hurting yourself then, because sometimes it's necessary to cut people out if they're behaving toxic, and if they're draining your energy, and if they are yeah, if they're not having the best intentions. I know Scorpios can be very strict and be like enough is enough, and I think a lot of people can learn from that, and especially me. I'm like way too forgiving. But sometimes when the light switches too fast and too like too intensely, then sometimes you cut someone out of your life who actually loves you deeply and dearly, and by that you then only hurt yourself. And then sometimes I feel a little bit sad, because sometimes it's just a protection mechanism to not having to feel so deeply. Because yeah, I know my Venus makes a connection to Pluto in my chart, so like I'm also all or nothing in love and relationships, and some people can feel that that's a little bit overwhelming. But sometimes it can just be like a protection mechanism, not having to go to the depths, because Scorpios are going so deep. And yeah, you guys are so complex. And when Scorpios try to seduce someone else, it's like always testing the limits. And yeah, sometimes it's interesting, but sometimes it's also like pretty annoying. So you guys really need to find equilibrium in that. And that is why that like lies into the 12th house. It is kind of a little bit of a blind spot for you guys. So that is why I love to talk a little bit more about that. So yeah, cheers to the Scorpios. Aries are one of the only signs that can really say such a stuff to Scorpios, because we both have our traditional chart ruler. It is Mars. So in ancient astrology, Mars used to belong to Scorpio. Now it belongs to Aries. That is why we actually get along pretty well. So I am an Aries. So yeah, that is why I am not afraid to tell it to you guys. So it's because I share a lot of love for you. All right. So the new moon in the sixth is actually the house of your routine, your daily job, your health, your service towards others, and also your work life. So a whole new seed is getting actually planted here within how you provide service to other people. So you need to stop waiting and start building more, and start adding more structure within your daily routine. Be very careful about burnout and overworking with Mars in the sixth, conjunct Saturn. If you have inflammatory issues, you really need to look at that. If you have too much stress, then April is going to be a difficult month to cope with, as it's going to bring up underlying health stuff from the depths a little bit more, and Mars can give some kind of like inflammation getting triggered, and with Saturn it can be something chronic. So do not be too overproductive. Mars in the sixth can definitely give like overwork, being overproductive, and then feeling like you hit a wall with the conjunction to Saturn. So this is like a new seed being planted in order for you to actually implement new routines that are going to support your health and well-being. So really, if you want to look for a new job, enter a new training program, changing your diet, getting more serious about exercise, maybe improving your sleep after the full moon in Libra. All of that is going to majorly be beneficial, because you guys are these signs that are going to need to be a little bit more wary about chronic health stuff resurfacing from the past and really causing havoc here with Saturn and Mars and Mercury and Neptune. Your immune system can get more easily weakened by stress. So very important for you to really dive into your spiritual practices with the Libra full moon, and then implementing that on a daily basis in the sixth, and really rebalancing mental and physical health. And then you're going to be like fully set and laying a whole new foundational structure within the sixth house of work. So best days for you. Oh, there are a lot of them actually. April 8th, Mars sextile Uranus. That is very positive. Mars still has a very strong implication in your chart, you guys. It is your ancient chart ruler. So creative breakthroughs. Then Mars sextile Pluto on the 16th. Excellent for like empowered action, productive changes at home and work that are going to be beneficial to your health. A little bit more challenging here, as I've already said, the full moon in Libra. April 3rd, Venus is going to square Pluto, your chart ruler, in the 4th from the 7th. Definitely some power struggles in relationships or with family members being exposed and illuminated. Then also Sun square Pluto on April the 25th. Again, some control issues in regards to relationships and home are going to re-triggered here. So whatever comes up on the 3rd of April is going to have a continuation of the story on the 25th. So be careful for the stinger during those days. And other than that, you're gonna have a very positive month ahead. So good luck. Yes, John, stress for you Scorpios, it can surface at the strangest of times, mostly when you guys are calm. Have you noticed that? Think about it. When you are calm, when you're not involved in some kind of drama or intense emotion, when you're just sipping your tea, suddenly, bam. It's because your nervous system calms down and has ample of time to be brought up, and then suddenly you're back in the spiral. So it's very important for you to gain more insight about that. I wish you good luck, Scorpio. All right, we have Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You're gonna have the full moon in Libra in your 11th house, which is pretty positive, you guys. The 11th, it is a cool house. The Sun is in the 5th, shining bright in the house of fun, and it's all making a trine and a sextile towards you. Positive aspects, helpful. The only thing is that the full moon is making a square to your chart ruler Jupiter, but still squares to Jupiter, that is not something to fear at all. It just means that there can be a little bit over amplification, maybe too much going out with friends. Of course, yeah, the 11th house is all about like your friendships, your social cycles, group dynamics, involvement within community, online community, your future goals. Something is being illuminated here, and you're going to realize who is really aligning with you, and also which connections are supportive, who's walking by your side, who has your back. And maybe some group connections are not going to feel right anymore, and you're going to purge some of them. But definitely, it's also shining a spotlight on the goal that you've been working towards, and something where you stand right now is something that you've wished upon 6 months ago. The 11th house is like also wish fulfillment. So it is actually very positive energy here. And it's also like, look at the relationship, Libra, between personal joy, the 5th house, and how you express yourself, and then how you operate within the social world. Do you have enough fun with your friends right now? Are your friends feeding your spirit, your wild spirit? Maybe some of them are draining your energy with the square to Jupiter in the 8th. Some of you are then also going to like decide to maybe, this is not very beneficial to me. So maybe I need to surround myself with people who really celebrate me more. And also, do people know the real version of you? You're very wise, but underneath all of that, like you're very adventurous and very optimistic. But sometimes the optimism can also be a shield from not having to share the deeper layer. And maybe now you're going to be able to share the deeper layer with your friends, but maybe that can become a little bit uncomfortable with the square to your ruler in the 8th house. And also, you outgrow your environment very quickly because you want new things, new adventures, and yeah, maybe the full moon is gonna then also like put a spotlight on that. Maybe you need more space for pleasure, more space for spontaneity. Maybe you're not gonna want to really focus on obligations or work. That could become a little bit more difficult here for you. The sun is in the 5th house. It's time to let your hair down and to go out and just go to networking events, gatherings, be where like, go where you can be social, and that can open new doors or either close an important one that is destined to fall away because it's a full moon. But you can have more parties, social invitations, a shift within friendships, and yeah, you can really connect with helpful communities that are gonna be very sweet and loving towards you. Your chart ruler in the 8th, very positive for like personal excavation, trauma healing, breakthroughs with a therapist, because Libra, it is one on one. But then the 11th house is groups of people, and then squaring the 8th house Jupiter, your chart ruler, it can also be about like a therapist. And maybe your therapist is going to become your friend, or maybe you use your friends as your therapists, or maybe you are a therapist towards your friends. Like all of the energy is a little bit in the mix here. Just make sure that you add enough time for fun. And that is so cool. Mimsy Moon says, I'm a double Sag. Well, you're double as fun. I really love Sages. They are always such a positivo, always so optimistic, and even if something bad happens, they are always able to find like the silver lining, even if things get really, really tough. That is why I have so much admiration for Sagittarius. And also, if you then look at the new moon for Sagittarius, then the new moon will be in the fifth house of fun, in a fellow fire sign, my dear Sag. So look at this whole Aries stellium trining your sign, my dear Sag. Like, this is like, I would love to be a double Sag right now, having all of this energy hitting me in the right place here. It is such a supportive, blissful energy. Wait, you guys, until Jupiter enters Leo by the end of June, beginning of July. Then you're gonna have a very big fire trine. Actually, a grand fire trine will get activated for you, and this is like very positive news for all the fire signs, but even more for Sag and Leo. Yeah, that is gonna be good times. So, of course, new moon in fifth, it is the most exciting reset point of like the entire year. Like, of course, also when you have moons in your sign, but it's in the fifth house. It is boldness, passion, spontaneity, confidence. It's about romance, dating, children, flirting, having a good time, hobbies, leisure time. So, yeah, if you've been wanting to start something new that feels more alive, more fun, the fifth house is the house where things get born. Do the things that make your heart sing. It is the house of the heart. And it is so beautiful because it is really the moment to go fully in. You're probably gonna go on the date of your life. If you uh, if you are single, then you can really meet someone. If you're already in a relationship and you're married and you have kids or children, I was gonna say the mix of the two words here, but there can also be a very positive big breakthrough and something very well accelerating within the lives of your children. So it can also come out in their lives, of course. But definitely, yeah, it's gonna bring back a spark. It's gonna ignite some inspiration here for you as well. So yeah, romance is definitely in the cards. And if you want to launch a new passion project, then do it. Reconnect with the hobby that truly lights you up. It's also about healing childhood patterns here with the conjunction to Chiron. Think back, what did you use to love when you were a kid? And reignite that. That is gonna bring you so much joy, and it's gonna rewire something in which you then are gonna be able to express yourself in a whole new way, and maybe even more fun, more optimistic. So good days for you are, of course, April the 3rd, when Mercury is gonna trine Jupiter, your chart ruler, of course, from the 4th to the 8th. Positive news around the home, maybe financial help from your family, that is possible. Then on April the 13th, Venus will sextile Jupiter. Wow, more abundance, more romantic and financial support, an easier flow. And then a little bit more challenging for you, let's say April 5th, Sun square Jupiter, but still, just do not overexpend, or like be careful for excess. Do not go gambling, like never to go gambling. I'm not like really enforcing that here, but definitely not during this time. And the 26th Mercury will square Jupiter. Maybe your mind is going to be a little bit on fire, but all other than that, it's going to be so positive. So yeah, good luck, my dear Sagittarius. All right, we have Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising. My dear Capricorn, you are going to have the full moon in Libra in your 10th house. So, of course, important for you, Capricorn. Let's look at the chart. So, you are also one of the cardinal signs. All the cardinal signs are Capricorn, Aries, Cancer, and Libra. So we have the Sun in Aries, we have Jupiter in Cancer, we have the Moon in Libra, but there's nothing in Capricorn. So you are like the sign that is missing within like all the cardinal signs. And with missing, I mean that there's no planetary energy happening in your sign. So that means that if you have a sun, moon, or rising located within Capricorn, you're gonna get like the full dose of this T square. But the T square, like the red lines that you're seeing, making like this pattern here, it's going to transform into a grand cardinal cross for you. So it will cross like this. That means that this full moon is a little bit more difficult for Capricorn. All of your angular houses are getting lit up. So let me know, my dear Capricorn, how you're doing with this energy. The full moon already happens on the 1st of April. We're already in the portal, so you're probably already going to like feel the emotions rising. But the 10th house, it is about your career, your reputation, is also about your life direction, your public image. Everything that happens in the tent, it is very publicly visible. So it brings some kind of culmination or completion or a very big moment of visibility. You're very visible for the outer world. Maybe you're getting a promotion, maybe a change in social status, but something about work, leadership, status, recognition, professional direction, it all comes very into focus right now. Now, of course, the 10th house traditionally belongs to Capricorn. So this is such a big moon for you, my dear Capis. And you're completing something big. Maybe something is speaking. Maybe your boss is bringing a major announcement. Maybe your boss decides to leave, and maybe you get a bigger responsibility. That is also a possibility. Can also having something to do with your parents, as it's in the parental axis, the fourth and the 10th house. But definitely a very public full moon for you. Maybe something is getting illuminated at home and becomes very publicly, whatever that is. But there's definitely some kind of tension between your role at home, your role within the world, and how you connect with other people. Maybe some partners are going to be saying, like, oh, well, you work too much. I want you more at home. Others are going to be like, well, you're causing like frustration at home. Maybe you need to work a little bit more. Like, it depends on your situation. And I hope it's going to be neither of them two. But there's definitely like a little bit of tension going on and something wants to change. Maybe you're like a little bit fed up with working so much and maybe you want to spend more time with family and at home. Maybe you need to take care for an elder, because with Saturn, your chart ruler, in the fourth house, there can be like an increased responsibility going on inside of the home. Maybe you become a parent. Maybe your parents are becoming a little bit older with Saturn. Saturn rules of age. The sun is the father, but the fourth house is the mother. So all family members are a little bit in the mix here right now. Or maybe you applied for a new job or promotion and you get it, and now you need to move. And your partner is like, well, no, I want to stay put. I like living here. Something in those realms can definitely come up. But the positive side of this is that it can give you more recognition, an ending within a job that you do not like, a change, a whole decision that is affecting the entire stability of the chart. So some of you are going to realize that work and home, they cannot keep pulling like against one another, and you might need to require to make some adjustments. So if we now look at the new moon here, that will be in the fourth house, of course. So some of you might definitely be moving. This is the house that rules over important domestic affairs, and it is very emotional whatever happens in the fourth house. It brings up patterns in regards to childhood conditioning that is trying to get healed here with the new moon conjunct Chiron. And Aries brings a lot of like action packed initiative energy around the home. Maybe you're moving, maybe something happens with family, maybe you are working on calming down like your emotions. Maybe they're gonna get a little bit fiery or feisty. Maybe some of your family members can trigger that a little bit, but it's definitely about your emotional security. This is about planting like new seeds for a new home situation, a whole new chapter, a new way of living. It's trying to become a healthier emotional foundation. So this is really about healing family wounds. Maybe you're gonna need to set some new boundaries with Mars conjunct Saturn. Maybe some family members say something to you with Mercury there as well, and you're like, well, enough is enough. Now I'm going to like literally close the back door and care a little bit more about the well-being of whatever goes on inside of the home, and I'm gonna protect it against malefic influences from the outside with Saturn and Mars on top of each other. Also, be a little bit more careful with like, this is gonna only be counting for some of you people, but yeah, you might need to protect your house a little bit more from malefic outside influences. I'm not going to get deeper into that because I would need to look at your personal chart, but sometimes Saturn and Mars together can also indicate some kind of theft or burglary. But that really depends on your own natal chart. Just know that there's like a malefic influence operating a little bit. Mars is going to be on your chart ruler Saturn, so for you that's going to add some more weight into the scale here. But others are going to begin a new long challenging project in regards to like renovation, or some of you are going to want to sell your family or having to deal with property matters, or maybe even family estate dealings. All of that can definitely come up during this time. So good luck. I await the good days for you. Yeah, good days are definitely going to be Mercury trine Jupiter on the 3rd of April. You can get good news from siblings, but also from your partner, good communications. Then also more challenging days for you are definitely Mars conjunct Saturn on the 19th of April. Something very karmic in regards to the home gets triggered, and it might bring a little bit more pressure, and maybe you're gonna need to take responsibility and make some kind of hard or tough choice. So let me know how that plays out for you, my dear Capricorn. Yeah, let me know what happens. All right, Hannah, I can see you in the chat. It is your time, and also for Stain and for a lot of other Aquariuses. I've been noticing that a lot of the people who are always present here have Aquarius energy, and that's funny because Aquarius is my fifth house of fun. And I think Shannon, if I remember correct, is also Aquarius. So yeah, all energy operating within my fifth house of letting my hair down and enjoying some fun and good times together. So, all right, my dear Aquarius, you are gonna have the full moon in Libra in your ninth house. So, very positive, Aquarius, because Libra is a fellow air sign for you. So, it's trining your sun, moon, or rising. That is good, you guys. Also, the ninth, it is a very beautiful place. It brings clarity around travel, philosophy, education, your belief system, publishing, legal matters, teaching, your wider vision on life. It's also the house of God and the truth and protection and divine intervention also. So, yeah, it is very, very positive here, Aquarius. And you can, yeah, with the full moon, something comes full circle, and you might complete either a course, you might make a travel or come back from a travel. Just connect with people who have a different cultural background than your own. They're going to perceive or give you new insights that can really help you progress. But also, you can hear news that is related to legal or academic matters. You might suddenly realize that your perspective on something has actually changed dramatically over the last 6 months since the new moon in Libra happened. So, ninth house is about zooming out and being able to look at the bigger picture. And you're releasing some kind of, rigid belief. And it's positive. Sometimes beliefs get scattered, but then it just causes a very big spiritual breakthrough. So it's okay to be confronted with not everything being real sometimes. Now you're really like wrapped up in new ideas, new systems, thinking about the future. But this one, like, is really asking you, like, what do you truly believe now? And where is life trying to call you to expand? And look at your knowledge, your truth, and also your experiences, because all of that is trying to move you beyond your current comfort zone. So you're seeing now how far that you've come mentally and what the seeds of your ideas of 6 months ago, how that bears fruit. So it's also showing you where you might need to still practice a little bit more openness or open-mindedness. But I know you, Aquarius, you are very open-minded. But under this energy, you can book a travel, plan a move, complete the learning process, share something publicly. Like if you make an announcement or you're finding an advertiser or a marketing person, and this can really, really open up a lot of new doors. But you can simply just have an important conversation with your sibling or your neighbor or someone within your local environment with the sun and Aries in the third. That is completely shifting your view. So that is good. Um, Also, yeah, it's like your living situations also that with Venus in the fourth house, which is the ruler of this moon, there is actually something positive, but you need to be a little bit careful that certain ideas or dogmas or visions do not clash at home with family members, because Venus is squaring with Pluto in your sign, and do not try to like hold power over them, because yeah, Aquarius, I know you know a lot and you're very smart, and maybe not all of your family members are as equally smart. Well, if that's the case, just like let it be. Venus square Pluto, be careful of like a little bit of possessiveness or jealousy around like the home or certain family members. That is definitely possible here. Also, your chart ruler is, of course, Uranus, and Uranus is about to shift over into Gemini pretty soon, you guys. On the 26th to be exact. I'm gonna make a whole workshop about that and a whole video, and I'm gonna be talking so much about that, but it will be entering your fifth house of fun, you guys, and it's going to be in a fellow air sign. Like, these are good times, Aquarius. I know Uranus in the fourth house is squaring you for the last 8 years. Dear Lord. There was a lot of unstable energy at home or within family dynamics or within your emotions, and sometimes you felt like a little bit flatlined. Otherwise, you felt a little bit volcanic in your emotions, and that is definitely going to change. There's a whole new world about to open up for you, my dear Aquarius, and I'm so happy for you. Yeah, that it's going to be a very, very good shift. So, of course, the new moon in Aries is going to be in your third house, and the third house is also making a sextile sign, sextile aspect towards your sun, moon, or rising. So again, positive support here. And the third, it is about communicating, writing, learning, speaking, social media, content creation, blogging, podcasting, your email list, phone calls, a lot of messaging for your business. It is a very busy house. Aries brings a lot of courage and bluntness and honesty and directness, and you might need to take a lot of like instant action on a lot of situations that are going to come up in the month of April. Be careful how you speak. Mars is going to be in your third house. Your words can, yeah, your words can be like bombs in the next couple of weeks. So be a little bit careful. I know you, Aquarius, like I love to do some shock therapy. I think it comes in very handy from time to time, but be careful not to overdo it. Also with Mars in your third house, otherwise you could really hurt people. And Mars conjunct Saturn, you could have a little bit more difficult conversations, especially from like the 15th until the 20th. Um, but the third, yeah, it is also about like launching new things online, starting a course. It's about studying, writing, having, yeah, important conversations. And it's going to be like the most important thing, of course. And maybe you're going to decide here with Mars in its home sign and Aries in the third that you're finally going to decide to like stop staying quiet about what you think. Like, you're gonna be speaking first and thinking later, and that can definitely cause a little bit of ruffling. Do not ruffle too many feathers here, but maybe siblings or and neighbors can prove to be a little bit of a pain in the ass. I'm just gonna like say it bluntly here, as you have Aries on the third house cusp. Still, the third house is also the house of being on the road. If you feel pissed off, I would advise you very strongly not to go out on the road. And even if you're calm and collected and balanced, then still people around you are gonna drive like freaking lunatics. Mars on Saturn, yeah, there could be a little bit more chaotic energy on the road here with this entire Aries stellium. And also, when Mars will be on Neptune and your third, you can feel like, oh my god, these people surrounding me, it's like they're asleep at the wheel. Just make sure you're not asleep at the wheel. Could also otherwise bring a little bit more difficulties here. So, but definitely the new moon is also about like finding the confidence in your own voice. And Aquarius is this visionary, and yeah, sometimes you have so many ideas and you do not have like the right words to put that in practical language, and you might feel refrained in some situations. You might feel like they're gonna try to suppress your voice with Saturn and Mars together. Just know that it's like a test of the universe. But if you write a newsletter or work on your website, or yeah, paperwork and contracts, they also they also fall into the third house. So, Stain, road rage. Are you a road rager? Because like I have Pluto in my third house, and oh my god, sometimes when people cut me off, I'm like, you guys don't know I'm an Aries, so yeah, I can be pretty feisty, and like I have a red car as an Aries, like this is like very striking. The redness is yeah, they see me coming, that's for sure. So, all right. Also, yeah, I think I've said the most important things. No, the good and the bad days. All right. So, good days for Aquarius. It is actually, yeah, the best day is gonna be the 25th of April. Uranus is gonna enter Gemini. So, this is about liberation in your creativity, and you're going to feel more inspired and more eccentric, weird kind of fun and new hobbies and romance. It's going to be such a bold new chapter that is going to be so, so positive. The other thing is on the 23rd of April, Venus is going to conjunct Uranus in your fourth house. There might be something unexpectedly coming up in regards to costs around the home. Maybe you want to move houses. Maybe there's some kind of issue in regards to wealth in the family. Maybe breakthroughs, maybe sudden losses, sudden gains. That really depends on what aspect it makes in your personal chart. Other than that, looks very, very promising. This is a whole like big rewiring of your mental, yeah, your thought processes, how you speak, how you connect, how you process information. Be a little bit careful for a mental burnout during this month. So yeah. Whoa, Stain, you have experienced that in court. That is intense, you guys. That is more than flipping the bird in the car, man. Yeah, like legal court cases, that is definitely also mostly connected to the ninth house. When we see afflictions happening in that specific house, then that can point to, yeah, difficulties. And of course, you won. Good karma, Stain. I believe in you. All right, we have Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So, my dear Pisces, you're gonna have the full moon in Libra in your eighth house. A little bit more of an intense house, but my Pisces, I know you feel so deeply. And what happens in the eighth, it is something is being lit up here about shared resources, debts, taxes, intimacies, trust, like deeper soul bonding. And it's also about like energetic, financial, psychological, and sexual entanglements with other people. That is being illuminated. So maybe you're having a windfall, some pennies from heaven. Maybe you're going to have an unexpected bill. Maybe you need to file your taxes and you do not really want to pay them because the government is robbing you. Yeah, like understand the feeling and the intensity that that brings with it, with like the eighth house issues. And of course, I'm not saying you shouldn't pay them. Let me be very clear on that. But like the eighth house, it is the very, like it is a house where you feel things so deeply and where we become sometimes a little bit vengeful and a little bit like intense. And because it's tax season, that just like totally bubbled up in my head. So There might also be like a shift in your partner's finances. Maybe there is a tax matter that needs your attention. Maybe there's a conversation around money and emotional dependency that needs some kind of resolution. And of course, the eighth house, it is never surface level. It is very revealing, intense, and if you've been avoiding something financially or emotionally, then now it's gonna like come up and maybe, yeah, catch up on you. So it's also on a deeper level asking you to really look more deeply at where your security depends too much on what other people are doing, on what people are earning. Are you relying too much on someone else's support? Are you letting someone else relying too much on your support? Are you overfusing emotionally and financially? Maybe you need to rebalance something within that. It's in the sign of Libra. Eighth house is also fears around lack, around debt, around owning something or being owned by something. It's about control issues in the eighth. So the full moon, like putting a spotlight on, yeah, seeing things where like deeper trust issues and also money issues are connected to one another, and it's going to bring a very big realization that maybe your relationship, maybe or you're too receiving, or maybe you're sharing too much, and maybe that needs to be rebalanced. So in real life, it's gonna come up through like mortgages, debts, taxes, alimonies, joint expenses. Did I already say inheritances? It's just like about financial decisions. And there can be a rather emotional conversation: who pays for what, who gives what, where the balance feels a little bit off. And the full moon, it wants clarity, and to really illuminate where you are keeping too much of the walls up. So, of course, your chart ruler, it's not only Neptune, which is in the second house of finances, putting extra emphasis on all of the things I'm saying here, but it's also, of course, Jupiter for you guys. And look, this is so positive, Pisces. Jupiter is in your fifth house of fun, trining Mercury for the third time in your sign. Third time's a charm. Maybe you're getting more refunds back from your taxes. Maybe you're getting a tax refund that is bigger than you were expecting. Maybe it's going to be positive news. That is very positive here with the trine from Mercury to Jupiter. But then, if you look at your chart ruler, I mean the ruler of this full moon, which is Venus. Venus is in your third house of communication, and it's squaring Pluto in your 12th house. So it's gonna show you the deeper layer of where you are maybe too afraid to talk about the deeper layer, maybe too afraid to talk in a sweet, open way about what's been bothering you, where you feel drained, where you feel taken advantage of, maybe where you are taking advantage of other people. It's squaring Pluto in the 12th, and the 12th, it is about like intense underlying subconscious issues, and maybe there's going to be some possessiveness or power struggles being revealed or being talked about. Third house is communication, Venus is money, and then full moon in Libra, eighth house, other people's joint like resources. So there's going to be some kind of conversation about that. Then we have the new moon in Aries for you guys. So the new moon in Aries will be in your second house of finances, money that you work for yourself. So the eighth house is what you share and what you do not work for yourself. That can be about investments, and there can be return on investments with a full moon in the eighth. But then a new moon is planting a new seed in the second house of money that you work for yourself. So the most important money resets of the year is here for you, my dear Pisces. And I know it's Saturn in a second. It's probably a little bit been a doozy because Mars Saturn are going to conjunct in the second house, and it can give like a little bit more of difficulties or having to budget in some kind of way, or feeling refrained, feeling like you cannot save as much as you normally would. There can be an emphasis of refrainment going on or blocking. And whenever Mars enters the second house, starting as of April 9th, be careful about like impulsive spending, because you can like feel a little bit like blocked or depressed or refrained, and you're gonna be like, well, F it, I'm just gonna like buy this, that, and that is gonna make me feel good. Others are gonna be confronted with how their scarcity mindset is actually blocking their abundance in their life. Believe in yourself, my dear Pisces. You are so extraordinary gifted. You have so many talents. You are so sensitive. I know it's just pretty difficult for you guys to operate within this, how do I call it? uh, Slavery system that we are all brought up in. And I know we do not fit in that. And you're also not meant to fit in that because you have this hyper psychic sensitive antennas. And that goes a little bit crazy in this rat race that we are all supposed to partake in. So, yeah, just forgive yourself if that is not possible for you. And yeah, a new moon in the second is definitely going to give you a whole new reset. Maybe you're gonna be planting a new stream of income here. It's about earning, budgeting, and also building self-worth, but from the inside out. And it's not only just about money, you guys, because it's also about building like a stronger relationship with what you value, what you're willing to work for. So yeah, guys, you need to stop minimizing your worth. You can undercharge, you overgive, you stay too vague around like practical needs because you do not always like dealing with like the hard material realities. I have a stellium in Pisces. I like never know how much money there is on my bank account. I do not care for it, even though it's my own downfall, and I should be more interested in that. And like, I get you guys. Like, money, it is just like a means to pay for like living, but I know you guys are not so focused on attaining big wealth. And now with Saturn in a second, you guys need to like be more serious about that, restructure that a little bit more, and build a new stable foundation. But it's actually been triggering your scarcity mindset a little bit. Sometimes you do not bother or be too attentive towards that, because then it makes you like have to confront certain issues in regards to like abundance mindset. But you guys are like the visionaries, who can like really manifest like money as energy, and you guys can work so well with energy. So give yourself enough credit, you guys. Create a new budget, start a new income stream. Maybe you need to ask for a raise. Maybe you're going to become more disciplined with spending. The second house is also about investing in your own skills and talents, and that is going to plant seeds for financial growth over the next 6 months. So this is the perfect, like, full force ahead new moon for new rituals in regards to abundance, for new financial planning, and making like these concrete money decisions that are going to support your future. So, good days for you are, of course, the 3rd, Mercury trine Jupiter. Also, 13th of April, Venus is going to sextile Jupiter. That can be like very beneficial for you. And then a little bit more challenging days. Of course, having the full moon in Libra in the 8th is a little bit more intense. Also, on April the 5th, the Sun is going to square Jupiter, but overall, it's okay. But still, the Sun from the 2nd is going to square Jupiter from the 5th. Some of you are going to have to spend some extra cash on either children, or maybe you want to go on a date, have an adventure, have some fun. Maybe you're gonna overspend. That is a possibility here with Sun square Jupiter. Other than that, it looks very, very good for you, my dear Pisces. But get honest about your money habits and stop drifting when it comes to what you earn and spend. Put it on paper, build more accountability, build more structure. And if you're going to do that, then Saturn and Mars within like 2 years, they're going to like really reward you for it. So just know, Pisces, you're not becoming like less magical by getting more practical. You're actually becoming more powerful with all of your psychic gifts. So yeah, I think that was it for you, my dear Pisces. So wow, I've been going on for quite some time. It's just so weird. Sometimes I get like totally, I forget time and space and just like go so fast. But if you've listened this all the way through, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank all of you guys for the love in the chat, for the support, for like the positive feedback, for asking the right questions. And yes, Bodina, thank you for saying that. The programming that money is material rather than a currency, energy flow warps our perception around it. Yeah, cool. Yeah, Shannon, what a marathon. It is true. I'm gonna need to take a little sip because my Jupiter in the third house, it has done its job for today. So thank you guys all so much. I really love spending so much time with all of you, and I will see you back soon for my weekly video, and of course for my Uranus in Gemini workshop as well. I will keep you all posted when that's gonna be releasing. And thank you all so much. You're making me feel so. It's like the dopamine in my head on the return of investment for from like receiving so much love of all of you guys. It's just like very feels very good for me, and it resonates with my heart. So thank you guys all so much. Have a lovely Sunday, and I will see you back soon. Bye bye.